Northern Italy, world famous for its beautiful scenery and cities. You'll also find the mesmerizing town of Cremona that's been famous for many reasons other than racing. On the Piazza del Comune sits the magnificent Cremona Cathedral that has stood since the 11th century. And of course, the talents of violin manufacturing in the local town. However, there's a new noise in town, and that is the reverberations of IAME X30 engines, because it's here, round one of the IAME Euro Series in 2025 at the Cremona circuit. And as you can see there from the live pictures, it is a deluge here. But let's take a closer dive at the circuit that we're racing at for the first time in the IAME Euro Series. Year of opening 2015. The event record so far this weekend set by Meryl Peldis with a 49.113. She came 10th in the pre-round to this in the Open Games not a week ago, but that time was done in qualifying practice on Thursday. But a closer dive at the circuit itself, it is a brilliant circuit, 1.2 kilometers, it's got 15 turns, it's a flat circuit as well. It is demanding for the drivers, 235 meters down the front straight. It is then another long run with 150 meters down the back straight in towards turn 8. Elevation change of around 4 meters. I think that might be a little exaggerated because it looks from our view a flat circuit out there in the northern plains of Italy. But the turns themselves, 15 of them, 10 to the right, 5 to the left, and the 4 hairpins out there. It is a very technical circuit with not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different opposing lanes of traffic out there. Overtaking spots, we see them into turns 3, 4, 5, 11, 12, and of course turn number 8. We've also seen them in previous years around turn 14 and 13, right at the dire stages of the lap. You see those overtakes there all the time. But now, today, everything we've seen in qualifying is all done because, well, we'll talk about that a little bit later on because the top speed as well. Drivers reaching 123 kilometers an hour into the braking zone of turn number 1. They average around 87 kilometers an hour around the lap as well. It is a fast-flowing, demanding circuit, but there is no time to really gain a slipstream out there, which means it's all about what you can do in the corners. And as I was saying, that time qualifying we had yesterday were kind of null and void a little bit now because, of course, those wet conditions. But like I say, we'll get on to that in a few moments' time. Myself, Anthony Jordan, and Guillaume Alvarez in the commentary box. And Guillaume, our first race of the day, qualifying heat C versus F, is coming up very, very soon.
Yes, indeed. Good morning, Anthony. Good morning to you all. Buongiorno a tutti. Welcome to Italy. 24 races on schedule for the first time ever as part of the IAME Euro Series on this beautiful circuit of Cremona. And as you mentioned, yesterday was cloudy but dry, still cold. The cold is once again with us, but the rain has come since last night, all throughout the morning. We're getting ourselves ready to go racing. Those conditions slightly different than yesterday. That's going to be the biggest challenge for the young drivers competing here. Almost 200 entries here for the opener of this new season as part of the IAME World. And the first race coming up, opposing Group C versus F, with that young driver as one of the names to keep an eye on. Sam Woolley will be starting at the forefront of that grid alongside Clovis Nogueira, the Frenchman who will go through the grid in one moment. But as you can see, the tension is high, the muscles are tense as well. Everybody is very much focused on the task at hand.
Exactly that. Brilliant time set in qualifying. Q2 was Sam Woolley with the fastest time, 49.801 for the BMR Restart team. He certainly had a very good run. And in his first qualifying heat yesterday, there were 3 races in the afternoon yesterday, which were not live. He finished P2 in that one from the front row. There, Clovis Nogueira running the CRG chassis this weekend. He's preparing himself for a very busy year ahead. P6 for him in his first qualifying heat from the front row, a little bit backwards, but like you say, he's testing the card, he's getting it prepared for this season. Lot is going on. You can see the yellow light is flashing, meaning we are around 30 seconds away from the first qualifying heat of the day, heading out onto the circuit. Like we say, it is qualifying heat C versus F. It is the 4th race these seniors will see. For these drivers here, though, it will be their 2nd race of the weekend. And I've got to say, drastically different conditions to what they had yesterday with dry, relatively chilly conditions. Today, it's bitterly cold. It's 8 degrees out there and soaking wet. It is the worst conditions I've seen for racing. so far this year. I've got to say, I would not like to be a driver right now. I'm happy I'm a commentator. Right, drivers heading out onto the circuit. Let's quickly fire through that full starting lineup, as these drivers will have 2 formation laps to get everything up to temperature and, of course, try clear that track as much as possible, because it is horrible out there. But it is Sam Woolley on the front row of the grid for this one. Clovis Nogueira will join him on that front row, like we were saying, 2nd and 6th in their races yesterday. Clement Outron of France, with a 3rd place finish yesterday, will be joined by Matthias van der Kerkhoff from Belgium, alongside Aaron Garcia of Spain and Rocco Caruccio of Germany. They'll go from row 3. They'll have Yannis Boulier and Zach Green on row 4. Matis Maschauts and Nikita Nikashov, they'll round out row number 5. They'll be joined by Elias Laman and Milan Marziak on row 6. Otto Pukkanen of Finland and Alberto Hurtado of Spain go from row 7, with Julian Bertbacher and Diego Gama of Switzerland going from row number 8.
On row number 9, we now have Kevin Baker from the Netherlands by his side, Raphael Bourla from Belgium at the back end. On row number 10, Thomas Van Vliet from the Netherlands and Marcus Glim from Belgium by his side, Oscar Cuccio and Kevin Rodeuil on row number 11. Row number 12, Luna Cleret and Mariano Alatorre, the French driver and the Spaniard. Then Pietro Korecki and Luca Manna, the Polish and the British driver on row number 13. Row number 14, Keanu Wallens from Belgium and Victor Agade from France. And on row number 15, from Sweden, Jonathan Lennström and Gabriel Volpe from Switzerland. Gabriel, that we didn't see competing yesterday in the qualifying practice, so I think that he retired from the event, so we won't have the pleasure of having Gabriel with us. It makes a total of 29 drivers. Confirmation on our screen that Gabriel Volpe is not here at the wheel of his Tony Kart. The driver is going around one more time for a second warm-up lap. We had one yesterday, but due to the conditions, as you can clearly see on our screens, this is very much a wet race, which means that it's down to the drivers to choose what type of tires they want to go for, either slicks or either wet. I guess the choice speaks for itself, looking at the conditions. But that's going to be an interesting battle to start with. 11 laps to go through once the lights go out. Still very early in the weekend. 24 races on schedule. We had 3 yesterday. And the mission for those drivers here in the top class of the IAME Euro Series, the seniors, is to make it alive in one piece after the qualifying heats. Each of those drivers have to go through 5 races, and we have one driver going around, I'm afraid. A little bit of an incident in the middle of the pack as everybody is slowing down. The pace sitter is your pole sitter to the left side of your picture, is going to be starting from the right line on the way to turn number 1. This is Sam Worley, the 267 from Britain, with Clovis Nogueira by his side. Seems to me that all the drivers are back in action, so no trouble at all as we get ourselves ready for racing.
Indeed, into the tram lines then, the first race of the day. We are indeed racing, and my goodness, look at the spray. Are all the drivers going to get through turn 1 cleanly? The answer to that, unbelievably, is yes, Guillaume, but they head down in towards turn number 2 and 3 now. This is where it starts to get interesting, the pinch point of the circuit. This is where you get your first victims, and already we do see that first victim. Someone off in the background there. I'll try and figure... 252. Yeah, 252 then going round. That is Peter Gorecki. Unfortunately, he's tumbled down the back of the order, but he is still going in this race. Through the chicane, down the hill, they'll head down in towards the hairpin of turn number 8. This is a prime overtaking opportunity, but look at that, Guillaume. They're just all over the place. They're all trying to find a clear piece of track.
Yeah, and it's going to be a difficult challenge, that's for sure. The mission is big for the drivers here of the senior class. We go racing. Very cloudy above our heads. Drivers in the most difficult conditions, but everybody still on to the track for that opening lap. That will be certainly the right opportunity for some of the drivers to take advantage and make the most of those conditions. Sliding a little bit on the outside of that last turn was Clovis Nogueira, still holding on to that second position. That's Clément Outron in the meantime took the lead. That was Matthias van der Kerkhoff from the victory lane, my apologies, up into second place. Clément Outron, the Frenchman, is your leader. Sam Woolley dropping down to third, with Clovis Nogueira from the front row to fourth place in front of Aaron Garcia. Couple of heavy climbers as well into that field. Otto Pukkanen, the Finnish driver, seems to be liking those conditions. 6 places gained up to P7 at the moment.
Loving this from Clément Outron. Look at the gap he's gained already. 1.7 seconds from Van der Kerkhoff there in P2. And watching this racing line here, you just see them. It's that standard wet racing line. They look like they're going to go straight on into a corner. They go full lock on the steering wheel. It grips, it bites, and then they flick it round with a huge lock of oversteer. It's absolutely fantastic to see, but it also looks terrifying from a spectator point of view because it looks like they're going straight off the circuit. But no, they're in complete control. Well, maybe not complete control, but yes, they're in some form of control. But a brilliant start for Utron breaking away. Here we go. This is looking interesting. Clovis Nogueira, he's back on that CRG. He's trying to fight his way through, but he's got the MDC driver of Alan Garcia of Spain right on his rear bumper. Make that alongside him, make that in front of him, just maybe, yes. He gets it done, and he can get it through past that turn number 2. And now you're seeing Nogueira, he's going backwards here. Mashouts back through. Crucho, he's coming through as well. Otto Buchanan as well. You can see him. He's also trying to break his way through the field there very nicely. But at the front here, Guillaume, Clement Utron, clear now, 1.8 seconds, has just put in a new fastest lap of the race.
And this is a clear indication of the different racing lines. Look at them dancing through the rain, trying to find a little bit of grip left here and there, left and right, coming to the breaking point. But still very, very much slippery. Some of them trying to hold on to that line, but not the easiest of tasks. But Clement Utron seems to be really much on pace in his own environment. 1 or 2 seconds now is the advantage the Frenchman has been building over the past 2 laps. Further back, this is battling. Matthias van der Kerkhove, a little bit clear from the rest. Oh, Wally getting passed by Mathis Merscout. Beautifully made by Merscout. As the door was opened by Sam Woolley, Aaron Garcia just took advantage of that slight moment to get himself ahead as well. Watch out for the response from the Kerkhove's further back. No, he's up in the lead. Sorry, my apologies. Sam Woolley down in 5th place. The British driver is going to try to respond under the pressure of Pikkonen further back as well into the double right-hander 3 and 4. Clement Utron in the meantime putting out another fastest lap in this race. Watch out not to put any wheel into the grass. That very wet grass would put you in a difficult situation, but Clement Utron is having none of it and keeps on building that gap. Van der Kerkhove into the turn number 8, the hairpin, the first of the 3 to 4 hairpins that we have. That's a total of 4 hairpins that we have here in Cremona. Utron, Van der Kerkhove, but now the battle is raging for P3 into that race between Merscout, Garcia, Woolley and Pikkonen joining the party as well.
Kevin Bakker is having a good race as well, the driver of the Netherlands, starting in P17. Made it up 7 places now into the top 10. He is just off the back of this pack. And as these drivers start to scramble their way through, you can imagine he will close in even more. Here we go. This is going to look interesting now. Down the inside, here comes the likes of the RCE or the RSD. This is Marcus Glum pushing his way through, and Glum going for the 2 places. Gets that done. Otto Buchanan caught standing still there. He's managed to get past the likes of Sam Woolley as well. So Sam Woolley, who was in P5 going into this lap, now finds himself down in P7. So Glum with a good overtake. There you can see on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen the qualifying heat, the intermediate classifications, brand new points for 2025. Gone are the 0 points for a race win. It is now 50 intermediate classification points for a race win. And there you can see Clement Utron leading those points at the beginning of the 2nd round of qualifying heats. Remember, there are 2 more rounds to go. Clement Utron leading the way, is getting those 50 points. He also took a 3rd place yesterday, did Clement Utron. That puts him on 91 right now, and then that will progress as the race goes on. I could see there, Yannis Boulier, unfortunately, out of the race. His kart parked up at the exit of turn number 12. Here we go.
Yeah, and there's a change. Mathis Merscout in the meantime. We could see actually the driver from Belgium getting close to his fellow countryman, and the move just happened. Mathis Merscout up into 2nd place from Matthias van der Kerkhove with that white crash helmet. And he had just put the fastest lap in the race, Mathis Merscout. Now that goes to another Belgian driver, Marcus Glum. Just like the British, the Belgian drivers do love a good rain, and you can see them making the difference in this opening heat of the day with 3 Belgian drivers up in the top 5. Marcus Glum not only putting the fastest lap in the race, but climbing 15 positions into that race at the wheel of his LRZ machine. An impressive first run for Marcus Glum after a not so easy qualifying practice yesterday.
Exactly that. Well, we are halfway. We are at the halfway point of this race, lap 6 of 11. And the drivers still trying to just tiptoe their way around the lap here. Got to say, get on the pace drastically different from yesterday as they go through again. Nice little chop and change once more. Sam Woolley and Kevin Bakker going wheel to wheel. And again, behind you've got the likes of Gruccio and Nogueira. They're also going wheel to wheel, while Tom van Vliet, they're just behind in the yellow crash helmet. He's just thinking, right, you keep on battling. I'll just keep on sneaking in behind you. Matthias Michaertz now, fastest driver out there, 106.447 in second place. However, I feel like that's too little too late. The Belgian is not going to be able to catch up to Utron. 3.4 seconds is the gap for the lead. That's an astonishing gap, and I've got to say, for Utron, he's found his mojo today, hasn't he, in the wet conditions?
Yeah, definitely. And not only the result, but the confidence into the pace is something that will be crucial through the qualifying heat, because we have no idea at this point when the rain will stop. And let's not give the usual commentators' curse on the weather here in Italy. But one thing is for sure is that, as you said, Cremona is very much on pace at the wheel of his new machine from the Dream Racing. Let's not forget, this is his first season with this new outfit from France. Used to be competing last year for TB Kart. Concrete change of environment, of chassis. As run inside goes Marcus Glum on Aaron Garcia, at least trying to in turn number 4, clipping the curb, sliding his way past, and that's another place gain for Marcus Glum up into P4.
Now, if you're a senior watching this one along, you've just witnessed there what could be a good tip for you when you're going through turn number 1. You saw there Aaron Garcia taking the generic wet racing line, the outside, the dirty part of the track, to really get the kart turned in and get the power out. He still got overtaken, though, with Glum going down the inside, taking the tighter inside line, the normal racing line, but hooking the front wheels on that inside curb and pulling the kart around. So it showcased that inside line still actually works better than the generic outside line at turn number 1. So there you go. There's your top tip for turn 1 if you're a senior driver, junior, or a mini out there as well. Lap number 8 that we're on. Race leader Utron heading to the line. He's going to kickstart now. Lap number 9. We are nearing the end of this race, and I've got to say, Guillaume, it's all simmered down now. They've found their places, they found their positions where they want to be, and I think it's just try and get these karts to the end now. There have been some big movers further down in the order. Jonathan Landström of Sweden, he's made his way up 11 places in this race, so he's having a very good run, down in 18th place right now, but still showcasing that there is some pace down there. They just need to try and get it through the field.
Yeah, definitely. And these are the latest stages of that opening race, and it's about really bring the kart back to the Parc Fermé, and they go to the next race for the senior class. Those groups that will be taking place a little bit further into that morning. We'll have 2 other senior classes after that, and then the juniors, the minis, and then we go again with the same groups, but split differently, obviously, according to the IAME Series system. We talked a little bit about some of the changes for 2025 yesterday. You might want to check that out on the social media of the IAME Euro Series, both on Instagram and Facebook. As run inside is the sniff on the curb from Marcus Glum on Matthias van der Kerkhoff. That's going to be certainly the last interesting battle up in the front. As run inside he goes in turn number 1. Different racing lines, as we said. On the inside, clipping the curb once again. Beautiful strategy applied for Marcus Glum. A little bit of a move of the wheel coming to the braking point in turn number 3. That was textbook sort of move into the rain. Glum, another fastest lap and another position gain for the Belgian driver, really flying through those conditions up into P3. Van der Kerkhoff in the meantime trying to resist from Aaron Garcia. But as you can see, and as you suggested, Anthony, the gap might be a little bit too big for Marcus Glum to keep on going and keep on climbing those positions. Cremona and Matthias Michaertz seems to be safe at this point as we head towards the checkered flag.
Indeed, yeah, but that gap has come down considerably to 1.5 seconds now for the race lead. But yeah, like you say, at that time, very quickly running out on this one. Glum really impressed me on this one. Marcus Glum, fantastic drive for him. Those overtakes we've seen from him down the inside of the corners, a great run. 17 places he's gained in this race. He started well down in the order on the 10th row of the grid. He started this one P20. He's having an absolutely fantastic drive so far, but as we are on this final lap, it's all going to be down to these two here. Tough day yesterday for some of them. Michaertz as well. He had a tough day. P4 for him in that first race. Cremona, of course, P3. So they had relatively decent results, but not gaining those top points. You want to be getting those 50 points because it's a big drop when you start to go second, third, fourth, anything like that. And that can make the big difference of making it through into the superheats tomorrow. And of course, those all-important finals, because only 72 out of the near over 100 drivers we have in the senior category, they go through into those superheats. And then, of course, the 36 into the final here. But the 205, Cremona, a brilliant controlled drive from him with only a couple of corners to go. The Frenchman in a brand new team in 2025 is going to look for his first win of the season in the IAME Euro Series. To the line he goes. It's France on top at the start of the day in the rain in Italy ahead of Matis Merschouts. Markus Glum with those 17 places finishes in P3. A brilliant drive for him ahead of Matis van der Kerkhoff. Alan Garcia rounding out the top 5 from Otto Pukkanen. Kevin Bakker crosses in 7th place ahead of Caruccio. Nikita Nikashov and Thomas Lamberley rounding out the top 10. Guillaume, that it is how you want to start a day's racing.
Definitely so, as Clément has always been among the contenders. He started the season on a positive foot, so to speak, at the Winter Cup with the 8th finish in the final, but he will certainly be one to watch for the opener of the IAME Euro Series, and that's certainly the way to go, especially in those conditions. So I do wonder, there's been some work going on during yesterday at the end of the qualifying heat and maybe throughout the night to make sure that the chassis, the material could respond positively to the driver's demand in those conditions. Let's see how this will progress through the qualifying heat, but certainly the cosmic machine of Clément seems to be working perfectly in the rain, and he was able to really make the most of his time through those 11 laps. Clément, winner of that opening qualifying heat. Matis Merschouts in 2nd position from Markus Glum, 17 places gained for the Belgian in front of Matthias van der Kerkhoff. Aaron Garcia P5 from Otto Pukkanen, Kevin Bakker, Rocco Curcio, as well as Nikita Nikishov, Thomas Van Vliet P10, followed by Clovis Nogueira, Milan Marzak, Julian Brugbacher, Luna Claret and Diego Gama in P15.
Bullard finishes that one P16 as well. 2 places gained. Sam Woolley, the pole sitter, not the start of the day he wanted. The young Briton dropping down 16 places to finish in P17 ahead of Oscar Goodshow. Zach Green and Jonathan Landstrom from Mario Aratore, Keanu Wellens and Alberto Hurtado. Victor Ageter from Elias Laman. Peter Gorecki, he was that early spin at the start. He recovered back to 26th place ahead of Luca Mani, Kevin Rudi and Yannis Boulier, the only retirement from that race. The highlights from this one, Guillaume, the spray was the biggest thing for me because you just couldn't see a thing. If you were the 5th row backwards, you just had to hold your breath in towards turn 1. They all managed to get through turn 1 and 2 cleanly. It was when we get to turn 3 here, the pinch point on the circuit, unfortunately for Gorecki. He was the only driver who spun at turns 2 and 3, and he managed to get going. Later on in the lap, though, the exit, 3 drivers out of the race. They kept going, but right down the back of the field.
Yeah, you can even see the spots of rain on the length of the eye of the cameras around in the track, so it gives you a good picture of how difficult those conditions can be, not only for the cameraman around the track, but also for the drivers. A little bit of a touch. That was the brilliant recovery through the field as the opening stages were setting the stage for the battles to come. But some of the drivers out there losing positions as Clovis Nogueira, starting from the front row of the grid, didn't manage to make it through the top 10 at the end. The 318 having a bit of a moment in the last turn.
Oscar
318,
Goodchow.
yeah, Oscar Goodchow would see the checker flag in P18 position as a consequence potentially of that incident into the opening laps. And then the last battle, Markus Glum on the inside of Matthias van der Kerkhoff. Van der Kerkhoff going the long way around in the turn 1 and 2, but the door was wide open for Markus Glum to make his way past. A couple of drivers trying to snitch past some of the remaining positions, but up front there was no one close enough to prevent Clément to take his first win of the day and win of the weekend and the season in the IAME Euro Series.
1 race down, 23 to go over the course of Saturday's racing. And I've got to say, Guillaume, that rain does not look like it's going away anytime soon. Those clouds still very thick over the circuit here at Cremona. Race number 2 of the day, Senior X30 qualifying heat B versus D is coming up next. And I've got to say, I'm looking forward to this one. You've got last year's IAME Euro Series champion on the front row. There he is, the Italian, Danny Carinini running the 201. He is joined by his Vela Zanchi Motorsport teammate, Riccardo Ferrari, starting alongside. Both of these drivers taking a race win yesterday. Today, one of them is about to lose their first race of the weekend, or maybe even both of them. As the engines fire up, they'll make their way off onto the track. Unfortunately, though, for Morgan Knudsen, he will not be going. His kart is not firing up. You can see him. He's trying to press that button. It's no bueno. Das Auto is kaput, and that will go no further. And there, Ross Upton is on the scene. He will say what is happening, and yeah, he's not going to get started, and the mechanics come over to try and help him out. And yeah, I don't think that's going to go anytime soon. No, that's a big shame there. One driver already out of the race. Well, let's quickly fire you through the rest of the lineup then. It's the Italians on the front row of this grid. Danny Carinini and Riccardo Ferrari. They'll be joined by Florent Panez and Aaron Cavillo. Samuel Ifrid and Gus Lawrence, the winner of the senior category in the Open Games here a week ago, starts it on the third row of the grid. Luca Horton and Max Starikov go from row 4. They'll be joined by Kevin Lantinga, also known as Dave. They'll have Mark Lepiccolo joining alongside. Henk Vuk and Mark Granada of Spain. They round out the top 6 rows. Row number 7 sees Christian Biasati and Oscar Repetto, Mero Peldis and Kian Geraghty. They round out row number 8.
On row number 9, we have Simeon Ketola and Nicolas Simic, Elo Gonzalez and Maxime Blanchemin on row number 10. Row number 11, we do have Rick Nadine and Alexis Genolet. A little bit of time, hopefully, to join the party and get himself back into the field. But as for now, the driver is trying to put a little bit of temperature into those tires. Always easier said than done, but Danny Carinini, Riccardo Ferrari, the front row of that grid. Two teammates competing on home soil in front of their peers.
There we go.
That's a good news from Morgan Knudsen. That's what we like to see at the wheel of his Tony Kart machine. He will be able to join, but he has to wait for the entire field to make its way past, and then he will be joining them at the back end. So certainly a lot of work for him. He was due to start, unfortunately, still from row number 13, so there won't be much of a change. But let's see what he can do in his race.
Yeah, indeed. He'll have to wait, like you say, until they've all gone past, which they have done now. The only thing is he'll have cold tyres, cold engine. It'll all be oiled up in there. He will not get the run off the line. Crucially, though, he will be starting right at the back of the grid. But thankfully, still in the race. Here we go, then. The two Italians on the front row, Carinini and Ferrari. Let's see what happens then in towards turn at number 1. Are we going to get a lights-out first time of asking? Let's wait and see. Or no, they're stopping them. That is a red flag there at the front, so they are going no further. So why has that happened? And I've got nothing on my timing screen, to say the least. Race director Martin Bean, he's walking down there to chat to the drivers, I think. But yeah, something clearly has happened. Now they've bunched up at the back. Some drivers had to take to the runoff area there. I didn't see too much happening on the formation lap on that one, but clearly something has happened, and our race director not too happy about it. Now he's chatting to a driver a little further back in the order. That's Kevin Lantinga, who's got out of his kart. And he was just having a quick word with him. There's a few more that have gone out of their karts as well now. And I think we're looking at some nose cones possibly that may have happened there.
Yeah, I can see from a distance that one of the drivers might not be happy about one of his nose cones indeed. But at the moment, we are a little bit blind as you guys. We don't have any information. We're waiting for taken very seriously. Otherwise, he would taken very seriously. Otherwise, he would not have decided to stop the race before he got to lights out. But after that, as part of the procedure, we'll go back for another, at least one formation lap by the look of it. The yellow light was flashing, as you could see, so it means that we're going to go back to racing.
Indeed, right. You can just see there on the left-hand side of your screen the carbon helmet standing there waving to his mechanic. That is Morgan Knudsen of Poland. Now remember, now his kart has stopped again. Remember, his button wasn't working. That wasn't communicating, so they had to use the WAS machine, as I like to call it, to fire it into life. And then, of course, now they've stopped again, he's going to need said WAS machine again to get it restarted. So he's calling his mechanic over to try and so he can enter into this race. And it's good for him because it means he can get back into his original position as well if they go for those formation laps again. Still trying to ascertain what's going on out there. There are rumours flying around in my ears, but I can't confirm anything right now, so I won't say anything about what's happening. But you can just imagine for these drivers, a tense moment, they were just getting themselves primed, ready to go racing, and then there's a stoppage. Can confirm it doesn't. There's no one off on a corner or anything like that. All the drivers are still there. They're all accounted for. Everyone is on track, and you can imagine now the sort of situation they're going to have to go through with the officials is to get them all back in order. And you can just see there, Martin Bean is chatting there. Christian Mir from RGMMC is chatting to some of the staff from the Cremona circuit. I'm perplexed on this one, Guillaume. Perplexed?
Yeah, so am I, because as you said, we are not in a position to confirm anything before we got a green light for that kind of information. But by the look of it, from what we can see from our position, everything seems to be fine. But again, we're not in a position to confirm anything on that regard. But we do have all the drivers with us on track. And hopefully Morgan Knudsen will be able to get going again. He's at the back end of the field. But as for now, talking about the weather briefly, it seems to me that the rain has stopped, which is always positive, which means that hopefully if the rain doesn't come back onto the track, that the racing line will slowly but firmly start drying out as the races progress. And as I looked at the forecast this morning, we shall expect drier conditions as we go forward into that day. But we're not there yet, as we're waiting for the green light from the race director to get going again for that race number 2, opposing Group B versus D. And at the forefront of that grid, 2 drivers eager to go for the fight. Danny Caronini and Riccardo Ferrari, 2 of the protagonists of the IAME Euro Series in Italy and on the international scale. Danny Caronini, winner of last year's IAME Euro Series competition in that very class. As you can see on the rain radar, the rain seems to be going away from our position, which is always a good sign. There's been a lot of it for the past few days in northern Italy. Last weekend as well, when the drivers came competing for a preparation race as part of the IAME Series Italy, there was a lot of rain up until the Sunday's finals that was disputed in dry conditions. We had expected the weather to be not on our side for the start of the opener here, but the engines are roaring again, and the drivers have got the green light to go again for 1 or 2 warm-up laps. You might have had the information. We go around one more time, ladies and gentlemen, and then hopefully we'll be good to go for racing.
Yeah, certainly so. Well, like you were saying, that rain has gone away now. However, yes, it's done its job. The track's still soaking. It's still very cold out there. Still horrible racing conditions, and I'm sure all the track staff there will have to endure that throughout the day. And again, great work from the Orange Army here at the Cremona circuit. Brilliant work for them. But not, of course, forgetting our fantastic camera crew out on circuit. Nico, Manu and Jesus are out there on the cameras. They are bracing the conditions as well, I've got to say. I wish I could go out there and give them all a nice big warm hug and say it's going to be okay. It's not the longest day in the world, but yeah, it's going to be a long day for them.
Yeah, certainly. None of this would be possible without our camera crew, and hats off to them. They've been through a lot of different weather conditions over the years, and it's never easy or nor enjoyable when it rains and it's cold like that. But our thoughts are with you guys. They can hear us, and we're very much with you. And has to be said that there was brilliant footage. This is thanks to you guys, and thank you once again.
Thank you. So let's go into the tram lines then. Let's see what's going to happen. Are we going? Yes, we are. And it's a good start for the inside row. Caronini and Florentine Panard, they have the best start. And Panard's actually taken the lead of this one. Down the inside, he's got through. He's got a Zanchi Motorsport sandwich there as for, Riccardo Ferrari and Danny Caronini go wheel to wheel. They are back in the lead of this race. And it is Riccardo Ferrari who leads the 2 Zanchi Motorsport karts. So Ferrari from Caronini. Then it's Panez there in 3rd place. You've got the likes of the Serpentard team there as well. Cavillo is there. Samuel Ifrit also in a good position. You've got the Ubic Racing team. The first time we've seen them, that is Samuel Ifrit. As unfortunately going no further is the 215 of Gaimus Markelbach. He is out of this race and he is unhappy. First running with the Fusion team, and of course he's not been racing that long. He only started around when he was last year, November. He went karting for his birthday and then he's found himself here. So there you go, talk about that.
Yeah, not the best of gift to get his season going, that's for sure. The Cosmic Machine failed to its mission. Hopefully it will be back for more in the coming races. Back at it, 1 lap completed, and look at the battle already raging between the two Zanchi teammates on the inside, trying to take the position back. Danny Carinini, Riccardo Ferrari side by side on the way to turn number 3. Watch out, guys. A slight contact by the look of it, but nothing to worry about, just as much as Kevin Lantinga is making his way up to P3. 6 positions gain for the Dutch driver at the wheel of his Croc Promotion machine, trying different racing lines as well, trying to surprise Danny Carinini. I wanted to mention this briefly before we get going, but this is an important step of the weekend for the Zanchi Motorsport drivers. You know, they are on the front row, they're fighting for the win, they're fighting for the respective results into this weekend, but at the same time, this is the golden rule of motorsport. You don't fight too much with your teammate, you don't run your teammate out of the road. And that goes without saying that at this early stage of the weekend, those two are going to have to be careful, because they are competing in Italy on home soil for their colors as well. So they want to make sure to secure that result for themselves, but for the team as well.
Indeed, there's a look at your qualifying intermediate classification points. Ferrari leading those with the 100, of course, with the win yesterday and leading the way right now. However, Kevin Lantinga's got something to say to the Zanchi Motorsport team. He was looking down the inside there at turn number 2, not able to get the legs on the exit though, but certainly looking very quick here. Remember, Kevin Lantinga, well, he started this one P9. He's there in 3rd place with the fastest lap of the race. His pace on that Croc Promotions chassis is looking pretty quick, and there you can just see he looks so much more confident on the power out of the corners, Guillaume.
Yeah, an interesting behavior as well. Around the inside goes Danny Carinini and Riccardo Ferrari. At least it was an attempt into that hairpin of turn number 8. Oh, a little bit of a waving actually from Carinini. He's under the pressure of Kevin Lantinga, that's for sure. We'll keep an eye on that battle. There he is into the last sector, the snake segment of the track, so to speak. Ferrari, Carinini, and Lantinga. If you observe actually Kevin Lantinga down in 3rd place, he has an interesting gesture at each of the corners, at least on the fast corners. He's moving his body from left to right in order to impose to himself a little bit more pressure on the sides of his car, just to, since this is very sliding due to these conditions, he's trying to apply a little bit more force on his car to make sure to keep that steady line onto the rain, which is no easy task at all. But you can see him and some others doing the same as well, trying to go left and right to find a better balance in those slippery conditions, and it seems to be working. Another fastest lap for the Dutchman, trying to go around the inside, and that goes through this time around. Beautifully made by Lantinga, attacking the first of the two Zanchis, but the response comes from Danny Carinini. He's the reigning champion. He's not one to be fooled around with, and the Italian was trying to get back again in 2nd place, not actually succeeding, because Lantinga actually snatched the positions back up into P2 again.
Ruben Moyer's weekend is going from bad to worse on that one. Warning flag for him. Didn't have the greatest qualifying. Is doing well in this race. He's up 8 places, but just picking that one up as another change for the lead. Kevin Lantinga down the inside through turn 15. Again, just so confident on the power there. Just able to drive past both Ferrari and Carinini. But Ferrari's going to try and retaliate here to the inside. Not got the legs this time around, and slots in behind. So new race leader, Kevin Lantinga, who started this race 9th, currently first with a gain of 8 places. I had a good chat with him and the team and everything like this. His sister Roxanne Lantinga is also racing, but they've had relatively good pace this weekend. So the Crop Promotions team certainly are delivering in the IAME Euro Series in 2024 here in Cremona. But eyes will focus on the rest of the field. Looking down then, other drivers who have had ups and downs in this race. We were talking about Ruben Moy now, a gain of 9 places. Written it in as well. 8 places gained in this one. Simeon Catola as well, also a good start to his race. Kian Garrity, another great start as well. 5 places gained. So again, some good battles happening in this one. But we'll keep an eye on this one because Ferrari and Carinini continuing to battle with themselves. However, keep an eye behind. Who's that on that Birol chassis coming through? It is the Swiss driver of Florent Panez, who is closing in on the 2 Italians.
Yeah, watch out for the Swiss driver Florent Panes as Christian Biazzatti is climbing his way through as well. 8 places gain up to P5. Gus Lawrence still where he started in P6 from Luca Houghton, Marco Piccolo, Simeon Ketola, and Eng Veuk. That's for your top 10 onto the left side of your screen. As Marco Piccolo was caught up in an opening lap incident, unfortunately, yesterday. So a DNF for Marco Piccolo as he was starting from the 4th row on the grid yesterday. So not the best start to each weekend. Is searching for redemption, Marco Piccolo. And at the moment, climbing 2 places up to P8 as the battle is still raging. On your picture, the 2 teammates, Riccardo Ferrari in front of Danny Caronini. At this point, you can see that this is the point of the race where it's about, you know, playing with your hands and feet, but also with your head. Not trying to do anything unwise. You have to keep it steady. They're pushing it shorter forward to try to decrease that gap on Kevin Lantinga. It has been extended quite significantly, actually, up to 2.4 seconds now. The more distant formation trying to push forward, the more as well they might lose a little bit of time, especially considering Kevin Lantinga has no one in front and no one behind, so he's able to put fastest lap after fastest lap, and it seems to be paying off as Florent Panes behind. Yeah, almost a second behind the 2 teammates, as you can see him fighting his way through and resisting from Biazzatti, the TB car driver, in P5, and Gus Lawrence not too far behind.
No, exactly that. Now, you may be thinking at home, Anthony, it stopped raining. Surely this track will be drying out with all these wet tyres out there, clearing the water. You have to remember, it's still very cold out there, 8 to 10 degrees. It's horrible out there. This track will not dry quickly. There is no wind as well. Wind usually helps dry a circuit, but there you can see it. Yeah, air temperature 10 degrees, the track soaking wet. I can imagine, Guillaume, it's going to stay like that for the rest of the day. Here we go then, Caronini. This is the first proper attempt as Riccardo Ferrari looking down at his kart there, adjusting something on the radiator. Now, of course, they have got covers on the radiator to let the air in and out, and you can see they're fully exposed radiators on this one. Oh, actually, are they not? I think they've got duct tape over the entirety of that rad there, which means they're trying to run the engine as hot as possible because the water, the spray, is going to keep them cool. But crucially there, Caronini into second place is able to break away.
Yeah, some of them have covers, some of them have come up with different solutions, as you said, but yeah, rain, certainly engines do not like rain, as some of the drivers certainly, so you have to take care of the material as well. Oh, and
again, that's just that wet line.
Yeah, and one of them at the back end going a bit wide into turn number 8. That was, I think it might have been one of the Pantana drivers. Oh, and that's the first attempt to sniffing around the inside of the Swiss driver on the way to turn number 8. Watch out from Gus Lawrence, the British driver from PFI, has the experience as well. He's proved his pace last year as well and the year before in events like the IAME Warrior Final. He did quite good as well entering this season at the IAME Winter Cup. He will be one to watch, and like any good British driver, he loves the rain.
Exactly, and he did quite well last week at the Open Games. Won that, so he knows how to pedal around the circuit. So right. He's in a really strong place here mentally as Gus Lawrence. But like you say, in these conditions, just trying to fight his way back through the order on this one as well. Marco Piccolo just there in the background, having a pretty calm race. He is seeing this all unfold ahead of him. And again, he takes that much wider, wet racing line, very wide there for Christian Biazzatti on that outer curb. So risky to go over there because, again, it's a ridged curb, which means it stores water in between the lumps and bumps there. So if you do plow into it, you kick up a lot of standing water there, and that can massively unsettle the kart. Now, I'm seeing some green flags out there, which means I think there might be a yellow flag out there somewhere. But I can't see anyone that has stopped, maybe down at the...
In the meantime, Florent Panes had a bit of a fresh air. He could actually build himself a bit of a gap and secure what will be P5 into that.
It's their first race of the weekend between Caronini and Ferrari. It's their first race of the weekend between Caronini and Ferrari. Well, it turns out it would be both of them.
Yeah, the Zanki Motorsport drivers having to make do with second and third place into that race. Both of them won one win under the name already. But as we said, still early stages of that racing weekend here in Cremona. Anything still can happen. considering the conditions are more than likely to change and improve. But again, we're never 100% sure when it comes to the weather. But as for now, Kevin Lantinga, just like Cremona before him, has proved to us all that his croc machine and himself very much at ease in those difficult, slippery conditions here in Cremona. As Lantinga takes his first win of the weekend in front of Danny Caronini and Riccardo Ferrari, as Christian Piazzati did a good job climbing 9 positions up to P4 for the Italian driver. We'll get to talk to some of the drivers in the Parc Fermé area of the Cremona circuit, as this is Danny Caronini on the left side, the reigning IAME Euro Series champion, having a chat with Kevin Lantinga. And always interesting to see the arrivals on track, most of them are friends in the paddock, having a bit of a chat about what just happened on track.
Exactly, and that's what a champion does. He'll go up to the person who won the race and say, why were you so quick? Tell me. That's how you work it out. There we go then. Let's have a look at the highlights from that race. Again, that spray still very intense out on the circuit, of course, with that small delay they had at the start. Early stages, great kart control there from Florent Panez. At the beginning of that one, the Swiss driver just stepping it out nearly 90 degrees sideways through turn number 2. That's a very broken axle there, and that was the early retirement of Guymes Merkelbach out of the race, or Guymes Merkelbach out of the race, and yeah, that's a big shame for him. Race continuing though, and yeah, Kevin Lantinga out of nowhere just had the outright pace, was able to break through. He had a good day yesterday, of course. He gained a lot of places, but he got a 5-second and it dropped him down to 14th. So this one here, that's a great way to start your day.
Yeah, definitely trying to forget what happened yesterday with that 5-second penalty. This is the moment where the Zenki Motorsport drivers trying to have a bit of a fight. Danny Caronini having to let past, so to speak, Riccardo Ferrari on the inside of turn number 1 and 2. And this is the moment where Gus Lawrence made his way past at some point with Florent Panez at the wheel of the Birelot machine. Piazzati, Christian Piazzati from the TB kart machine as well, making his way past up in the lead. But in the final lap, that was a dominant victory at ease for Kevin Lantinga, the Dutchman from Croc Promotion, taking his first win of the weekend in front of Caronini and Ferrari. And 2 drivers missing out into that race, as we've seen Guymes Merkelbach and Rory O'Connor, the Irish driver, not seeing the checkered flag at the end of this 11-lap race. The same distance for the upcoming race, still with the senior category, as we're going to have the A versus E qualifying heat race. After this one, we'll switch our attention to the junior class for the first 2 races of the weekend, then the minis, and then we'll be back to the seniors before the halfway point of the day in the lunch break, well deserved for everybody, and then some more intense kart racing in the afternoon, all the way to 6 o'clock local time. But as you can see, the drivers are already lined up for the 11 laps to go through.
Exactly that tense moment for the drivers. And just cast your mind to the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. You see there the 301, Bertram Sash of Denmark. Now, usually runs with the Falcon team. He is running under the Falcon awning this weekend, but he's got not a Falcon livery on that, because it's not a Falcon, it's a Henza. It's a new chassis for 2025 he's rocking there, and he says he's got everything working on it. He's testing it, getting it sorted out, and it seems to be going well. Not new to the world of motorsport or anything like that. The Henza brand has been going for a fair while now, but this is a brand new little chassis they've got running, and wow, good to see it on the grid. Rest of the field then on this one. This is going to be an interesting one, because again, you've got the likes Harrison Mackie. He was the 3rd of the winners yesterday over those 3 races. He starts on the front row for this one. He is joined by the outright pole sitter from time qualifying, Max Radek as well. Now, he finished 4th in his first race. There he is on your screen for the Victory Lane Racing team. Look at that, brand new wet tyres on board there. Not a single lap done in anger. They will be out there fresh. Rubber is always what we like to see on a kart.
Yeah, that's what they need, certainly, for Max Radek, who put himself in the lead of qualifying practice yesterday. This is his first ever pole position in the senior class as part of the IAME Euro Series. So one name to keep an eye on, Max Radek, keeping himself focused and quiet before we are ready to go racing. Max Radek was going to have by his side Harrison Mackie, last year's junior winner of the IAME Euro Series, stepping up to the X30 senior class for this year with the Fusion Motorsport. one name among many in the class to keep an eye on, but Harrison Mackie has been very fast yesterday already, not only in qualifying practice, but in qualifying races as well, with a first win to his name. But the second row of the grid is looking impressive as well, with Andy Rattel and Alex Pinera. A couple of the names as well, as we're going to go through the grid in an instant. But the light goes green, the whistle has been blown, and the drivers make their way onto the track.
Indeed. Well, I'm going to be the optimistic Brit here, and I'm going to say it looks like it's brightening up a little bit out there, but we'll have to wait and see. Field makes their way out. Let's take you through that full starting order then. It is Max Radek on pole position, joined by Harrison Mackie, Andy Rattel and Alex Pineda from Jona Luja, and Harold Madison on row number 3. Row 4 sees the likes of Andrea Barbera and Isaac Say. They'll have Denan De Vos and Roxanne Lantinga, who's just seen her brother go for a race win. Can she do the same on row number 5? Cullen Nilsson and Morgan Moore, they round up row number 6. Lewis Bird and Marlon Bayer on row number 7. They'll be joined by Philip Svensson and Ilari Pispanen on row 8. They'll have Evgeny Yazkov and Nicholas Hirsch on row number 9.
On row number 10, we have Luca Montebello and Sam van der Eyden. Row number 11, Maxime Prudhomme and Lewis Mas. Mohamed Mainme and Patrice Odorovic on row number 12. Row number 13, we have Marcel Matijevic and Timio Rupen. Row number 14, Warampang Wayamwichan and Daniel Breeze. Michael Koreki and Werazak Emwichan on row number 15. And at the back end, we do have Bertram Sach, as we mentioned, at the wheel of his Enza kart chassis for 2025. A total of 31 drivers on the grid, and we do have everybody on board as well for this race. Talking briefly about some of the chassis, we talked yesterday as well, hopefully we'll get to see that piece, about the new homologated chassis and the new homologated front panels and fairing as well for 2025. Different looks, different solutions that some of the big karting manufacturers from Italy came up with. And these are the solutions you'll get to see on the international karting scene for the years to come. We get to see some of those as part of the IAME Euro Series, different solutions from the Parlin factory, from OTK, as well as from the KJ manufacturer. So there's been a lot of talks over the past weeks as well about those new aerodynamic solutions, and this is a strong sign that evolutions are running strong in the world of karting. Development is being made, and yeah, people have thought this through for the years to come to improve the package, improve the image as well of karting as a ground for further development.
Yeah, indeed. Over the course of today, I'm going to employ the camera crew to try and zoom in as close as they can on any of those brand new 2025 NASA panels, because there are 3 new ones out there. You've got the OTK one, you've got the Paralin one, and you've got the KG one that are all out there. I've all given them nicknames, and I'll go through those nicknames over the course of the day. I did a poll on social media as well, asking people's choices. Got to say, some were good, some were questionable, but the rest of them should be good. Here we go then, third race of the day into the tram lines. Are we good? First time of asking. Yes, we are, as once again the spray's all I can talk about, because look at that, you can't see a thing. Mackie, all on his own on the outside at row number 1, has been hung out to dry there as Max Radek holds on to the race lead. In towards turn 2, one of the MDCs is up and round. It's that Jona Luja out of the race. I think it is. He's got damage on board, but he rejoins on the circuit all the way, though, down in around 20th place.
Yeah, a little bit of a contact for one of the drivers, unfortunately. Everybody coming through the chicane into number 6 and 7 into that opening lap. Run inside. There he goes, Harrison Mackie on the leader already on Max Radek, having to, second place for Max Radek. Unfortunately, there was little he could do to resist from the British driver's charge on the inside. As soon as the opening lap, Harrison Mackie set himself into the race. One win yesterday for the British driver. He will be one to watch. He will be among the contenders for the win here, as he did last year in the junior class. Down in third place, we have as well a couple of drivers making his way through. This is Andrea Barbieri, by the look of it, from Zenki Motorsport, who just fought his way through up to P3. Yes, indeed, it is Barbieri from Lewis Bird. Andy Rattel down in P5. The 217 clipping the curb. This is Lewis Bird on Barbieri, and he's going to make his way past into turn number 3. Beautifully done by Lewis Bird. pushing a little bit the Italian around the outside. He makes his way through up to P3. Barbieri still hold on to P4. As further back we have Andy Rattel, the 206, fighting his way through as well. A little bit of driving lesson from Andy Rattel on the sideline pretty much, but the Frenchman lost a bit of momentum, was trying to hold on to Dylan de Vos.
Big movements here. Barbieri is just throwing that Zanchi Motorsport kart all over the track. He is battling away with the victory lanes there. Dylan de Vos is one of them. Now he's managed to get past Andy Rattel. So he's having a good race. You can see him there right on that rear bumper there of the Zanchi Motorsport machine as they push their way through the snail section, as I'm calling it, through 11, 12, round through 13. Big clip of the curb there for Dylan de Vos, and you can just see how much car control he's having to utilize there on the exit of the lap. But to the inside there, just in the foreground, pushing through again, the drastically different racing lines through T1. A lot now are starting to adhere to the that inside racing line.
Yeah, Dylan de Vos chose the outside line, but it's not quite paying off. He was able still to close that door on the outside of turn before, as some of the drivers behind, Nielsen, by the look of it, from Haas Racing Team, was trying to take the position away from him. Let's have a look back at the leaders. Harrison Mackie, Max Radek, Lewis Bird, and in third place, this is Andy Rattel, the 206, just behind Barbieri from Zanchi Motorsport, another strong Italian from a strong Italian team as well, as the 294 is being investigated as we speak. 294 being, let me try to identify who that is. Further back into the classification, we'll get back to that in a moment.
Marlon Bayer currently running 31st place. He's picked up a warning flag. Yes, he'll have to be careful. Harrison Mackie in the lead, 0.6 of the second though is the gap. Max Radek is closing in though. That gap, is it coming down or is it going up? It's going down. 0.2 of a second taken out of it. Lewis Bird though also closing in. You can see there taking that inside line. Feels like it's helping out for him, but again, it looks like it probably is as well. Is that a little mistake there from Max Radek? You can see he ran a little bit wide on the exit of turns 2 and 3, and now it's put Lewis Bird right on his rear bumper as Andy Rattel sets the fastest lap of the race on that last one. He is also closing in on these 3 up ahead, so it looks like we could have a 4, maybe 5 kart battle, because like we were talking about, Barbieri is there as well. The Italian on that Zanchi Motorsport machine is also closing in. We're going to have a 5 kart battle for the lead here, Guillaume, in the wet conditions on lap number 4. Oh, could you ask for anything better?
Yeah, certainly not. Oh, and one driver going off in turn number 8 live as we caught that up on camera. We didn't get to see who that was, but Marlon Bayer has picked up an investigation as well. In the meantime, the 266 earlier, Knut Nielsen running in P7 as well, being warned and investigated. We'll get back to that. But in the meantime, a couple of different trains of drivers as run inside goes the Italian driver, Andrea Barbieri. And this is Barbieri and Rattel fighting their way through. Rattel a little bit further back, actually, with the pressure of Dylan de Vos. We have the 306 of Max Radek, or overall pole sitter in that category. Hold on to that second place. 217, Lewis Bird, Andy Rattel just on the inside. The former IAME winner, and beautifully made just in the turn number 6 that was. Andy Rattel up into third place. Trying to resist on a return of any of the rivals just behind. Harrison Mackie, Max Radek, Rattel, Bird, Barbieri, De Vos, Knudsen, Svetsen, and Pinera, as well as Luca. That's for your top 10 at the moment. A couple of climbers as well. Jari Pismanen, 11 with 5 places gained. Luca Montebello, as we said, 9 places gained up to P10. And Michael Korecki as well, further back, 7 places up, as Juan Aleja, unfortunately, is dropping in our classification. It seems to me that the Spanish driver is in trouble somewhere onto the track. Another driver out of this race. Marlon Bayer as well from Victory Lane is nowhere to be seen.
Liking this. I'm liking this drive from Andy Rattel now up into second place, just getting past Max Radek and moving his way through this order nicely. There's a look at the intermediate classifications. Harrison Mackie at the moment, he won yesterday, leading this one, but we've not had a back-to-back winner so far. No one has had 2 wins out of 2, and you can see here it's going to make it difficult for him, because Andy Rattel throwing the dummy there on Mackie, sends it down the inside on the exit of turn number 7 and in towards the heaven of turn 8. That is a new race leader then in the form of Andy Rattel of France, and he is looking to really shake up the points now, because that confirms no one has had a clean and perfect race weekend, but the race not over yet. Guillaume, of course, we're only lap 6 of 11. Mackie could close back in, but looking at that and the pace that we're seeing here from Andy Rattel, he's already checked out here. 0.3 of a second was the gap through the last timing beam. What's it going to be over this one as Max Radek goes to the inside of Mackie? It's already up to 1.1 seconds. That's the gap now. So Max Radek through into second place. Not for much longer, though, as Mackie throws that dummy back. And here's Lewis Bird to play as well.
Yeah, Lewis Bird is trying to get himself in the lead into second place, the lead of that group, that's for sure. Oh, a little bit of a touch outside of turn number 3 by the look of it, as Lewis Bird is through. Max Radek in the meantime dropping 2 positions. Harrison Mackie is under pressure now. We saw him clipping the curb a little bit, dropping momentum outside of the last turn. And now it seems to me that he's paying the price of it, because look at him under the pressure into that hairpin of turn number 8. Mackie, Lewis Bird, Max Radek, Dylan de Vos as well. The teammate at victory lane of Max Radek, trying to give him a hand in that battle, and I think he just made his way past the 293. Yes, no, they still did. Dylan de Vos, yeah, Dylan de Vos actually just made his way past, my apologies, up into P4. So Max Radek dropping another place down to P5. Look at him, actually, Dylan de Vos flying through. But there's the response from Lewis Bird, who takes the positions back up into P3. They're going to be side by side. And well spotted, Anthony. It seems to me that the front fairing, the front nose of Lewis Bird might not be in the best of positions.
No, indeed. It's flapping around like anything, so I think that might be a post-race heading to Bird, but still in third place. If he can try and break away from this chasing pack, he might still be okay. As Andy Rattel continues to spread that gap at the front, he continues to open it up to now over 3 seconds. Mackie, though, is on a defensive masterclass here. Well, he's gone through. He's still good. As down the inside, here comes De Vos. De Vos through past Bird and pushes him back down to P4. Baraberi is there as well, also trying to close in, but Radek also on that back foot. This happened to him yesterday. Really strong start to his race in the dry. Later on, it all kind of just went topsy-turvy a little bit. He still had a good result, still came away with a P4, and he's looking for P4 right now, and he's just got that down the inside, but Bird retaliating once more through 14, switching again, and back through on turn 15. So Max Radek and Lewis Bird having a nice little dance there, albeit very, very close to each other through turn number 1 of the start-finish straight, and now Bird back in front, as now all this is going to do is just bring everyone back into place. You've got, like you say, Baraberi there closing in, Knud Nielsen's there, Philip Svensson also closing in as well. So there's been some big gains from the drivers further back.
And that was a very close dance coming to turn number 1 between De Vos and Lewis Bird. The checkered flag is getting near indeed, and while the drivers are battling for P3, all around the inside, there he goes beautifully, Barbieri on Nielsen, and going a little bit further down the turn number 8, the IS driver. So still positions being changed as we get to the later stages of that race. Look at Barbieri making his way past with that Zenki Motorsport machine just in front of Nielsen, Svensson as well, 7 and 8 respectively. Morgan Moore picking up a warning flag in the meantime as the qualifying heat classification evolves. Harrison Mackie, that's the moment he had been expecting for his drivers, for his rivals just behind him to start on battling and losing position and momentum as well. For him, that was about securing that gap. Second place, way behind Andy Rattel. Nothing to worry about for the Frenchman from Pantano. And thanks to that win, and thanks to that second place, well, Harrison Mackie and Andy Rattel both climb second and third in the provisional classification on equal point with Danny Caronini, 94 points for all 3 drivers. If it stays like that, so that's going to be an intense battle already when it comes to the lead in the order. And in the meantime, battles still raging on track as well. Down to turn number 8. Look at those 4 drivers close by. The 266, this is Nielsen trying to catch up.
Well, I want to talk about one driver who we spoke about right at the beginning. Remember that brand new wagon for our man Bertram Sash? Well, he's gained 22 places on that brand new wagon, and he has pushed his way through. You can see him there on the outside, the 301, trying to go 3 wide there on the exit as the 2 teammates go wheel to wheel. He's going to get the switch back, and 3 he goes. That's another 2 places gained there. nicely done for Bertram Sash, who goes wheel to wheel with those two Haas Racing Team drivers. And again, they will fight back all the way throughout this one. This is beautiful stuff. Usually we like a bit of side-by-side. How about 3 wide around a lap? That's what we want to see. Final lap board is out then, and these drivers are delivering some superb racing. Oh, actually, there you go. There's a couple of NASA panels that I've been talking about over the course of this weekend. Brand new ones on the 2 of them. This man here, though, Andy Rattel, well, what a drive from him. 6.2 seconds clear from Harrison Mackie, showcasing there are some drivers in these wet conditions who have got some real pace here. And you know what? I'm looking forward to seeing when we could see the likes of Andy Rattel and maybe Kevin Lantinga battling away, because both of them had a very similar gap over the course of a race, and that's going to be one we'll keep an eye on. To the line then, it's France on top for the Pantano Racing Team. Across the line they go. It is Andy Rattel taking the win, and you have to wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. There is Mackie across the line, only just as well. Dinan De Vos was on his rear bumper like anything, and they were second and third. Lewis Bird across the line in P4 from Max Radek. And Andrea Babetta finishing in 6th place from Philip Svensson. Bertram Sash, 23 places gained after a dismal qualifying. He finds himself inside that top 10 ahead of Ilari Pispanen as well of Finland. He's had a brilliant race as well inside the top 10, 7 places gained, ahead of Knut Nilsson finishing in 10th place. A very strong performance there.
In P11, we have Sam van der Eyden climbing 9 places, knocking at the door of that top 10. 12th place and 7 positions gained, Luca Montebello from Isaacea, Niklas Hirsch. Then we have Harald Mattison, P15 from Maxime Prudent. As you can see, your winner, Andy Rattel in the Parc Fermé. Morgan Moore, P17 from Roxane Lantinga. Marcel Matijevic, Juan Aluja, P20 from Luis Mas, Daniel Briz, Alex Pinera, Team European, Mikhail Gorecki, Evgeny Yaskov, Patrice Ogrovidic, Warapong, Wihan, Mohamed Miheni, Warazak Wihan, and Marlon Bayer, unfortunately, who didn't make it to the checkered flag at the end of this race. As you can see, the drivers lining themselves up to on the way to the scale. Here's your classification in full. The first win of the weekend for Andy Rattel, one of the contenders of the senior class, that's for sure. Andy Rattel stepped on the podium in the opening event of the IAME International season, the Winter Cup in Valencia, P3 back in February, as he will be certainly another of the contenders in the senior class, where he finished P6 last year in the IAME Euro Series. Another strong win, another big gap. That's the 3rd big gap in a row. You could feel, Anthony, that the conditions seem to be slightly improving in terms of racing lines. We've seen some of the drivers taking more risk, going both left and right, inside and the outside, trying different racing lines, going on the very much the verge on the track at some point, but the grip seems to be coming back slightly, still very cold, about 10 degrees Celsius in the air. So we're not there yet, but improvements allows for more opportunities to be taken.
Exactly that. Let's take a look at those highlights then. Mackie round the outside at the start of that one. He was left all on his own, slotted into 2nd place as the rest continued. Max Radek holding on to the lead in the early stages. There was the unfortunate start from Johan Aluja. Unfortunately, the Spaniard in the 255 getting spat out at turn at number 3 in the early stages of that lap. More dramas happening further back. That's why we saw the karts going off the circuit there in the background. Couldn't quite see the numbers, but yeah, a little bit of contact there in the background. Lap number 7, and this was the likes of Mackie battling away with De Vos in the early stages of that one. That allowed the likes of Andy Rattel to close in. He was able to gain quite a significant gain over the course of that race, not only overtaking several people to get into the lead, but then to break that gap of 8.3 seconds at the end of it. Thick battles happening all over the place here, as there you can see Lewis Bird in those stages finished P4, gaining of 9 places. Unfortunately, we spotted it, that NASA panel and nose cone looking like they're not in full position there. So he might drop down the order just that little bit later on in the results. Make sure you stay tuned for those ones. But racing filtered all the way to the end of this one. Then you had the brilliant battle, the 2 Haas Racing drivers battling away with the Zanchi Motorsport team of Andrea Barberi. All the meanwhile, you had Bertram Sash closing in on that 301, and he gained a plethora of positions, 23 of them in total. Right, next race is out on track already. They'll have their 2 formation laps. It's time to head to the junior class now, and these drivers have all prepped themselves ready over the course of qualifying. They have not had any races yet so far this weekend. This is the first time we will see the juniors out on the track racing in anger, and it all starts with Dan Alleman on the front row of this grid. He'll be joined by Benjamin Westwood, Riley Cranham, and Louis Blazeret will go from row number 2. Stig de Rademacher and Gabriel Branecki go from row 3. They'll be joined by Max Endicott and Didier Kreeft on row 4. Charlie Johansson and Fabio Parariti go from row 5. They'll be joined by Matteo Mellis and Denny Babacek on row 6. Romeo Mello and Aaron Meta, they round out row number 7.
Then we have on row number 8, Matteo Peruccio and Hugo Warana. Max Lacroix and Daniel Oliver on row number 9. Row number 10, Ben Goetz and Bruno Grilling. Row number 11, Rafael Saznak and Mathis Mouche. And row number 12, Freddy Wood and Baran Aga Altinsoy. 24 drivers on the grid and 24 drivers on the track as well. 2 laps to go through as well for the junior category. Slightly younger than the seniors in this class. The seniors from 14 years of age. The juniors slightly younger, as we said, between 12 and 14 years of age to compete into that category, as we have a total this weekend of 47 drivers representing 17 nationalities competing in the junior class. The format is the same. After the qualifying practice, they're being split into groups. Each of the drivers have to go through 3 qualifying heats, and the better results they can get, the more points they will collect, and the higher they will be placed coming to the grid for the super heats on Sunday morning. On the way to the final, where only the 36 best will get to compete.
Here we go then. First time this weekend for the juniors. Are we racing? Yes, we are. Down the inside, Dan Alleman for the Spirit Racing team. Great start for him. The pole sitter from time qualifying will utilise his speed he had yesterday into today's wet racing. But however, it's a good start for the rest as well. Riley Cranham on the Fusion Motorsport card. He's managed to slot his way into second place. He's got the very close company of Sid de Rademacher also there. Benjamin Westwood in the early stages also having to battle back. For some drivers, it's not been the start of their race they will have wanted. Some drivers dropping to the back of the order, and one of those being Zanchi Motorsports, Matteo Peruccio, who's dropped down to the back of the field. More battlings going on, and that's another one of the Spirit carts, I think, going backwards. Is that the likes of Fabio Parariti, who may have had a moment?
Yeah, that could have been. It was in the middle of the field. We might need to see that again, but a little bit of a moment in the straight coming to turn number 8. Well, his teammate from Spirit Racing, Dan Alleman, is leading the pack at the end of that opening lap. Everybody's still with us on track. But Dan Alleman, perfect qualifying with the pole position, as he did at Valencia for the Winter Cup. Here he comes. Opening lap completed, and Riley Cranham from Fusion Motorsport did a strong job climbing 1 place up into P2, 7/10 down. We further back one of his teammates, Stig de Rademacher, another strong Belgian in the field. Max Endicott climbing, and the 27. Unfortunately, that's the driver from Spirit Racing we were talking about, I think, as...
Yep, Pelleriti is not circulating. He's got back going now, but yeah, had a moment there, so the 27 out of this race for the time being. However, his teammate still very much in it, leading the way by 0.6 of a second. However, is Cranham and Sid de Rademacher, are they closing in? That is the question. It is 0.6. It's gone up to 0.7 now. So Alleman has the pace here, Guillaume, to try and break away. This would be a nice start for his weekend.
Yeah, once again, a young driver showing strong skills and pace, into those conditions. But Dan Alleman has been around in the mini class as well for the past few years in the IAME Euro Series. He knows what he's doing. And in the meantime, you can see the gaps extending themselves quite significantly, as on the inside was one of the TB cards. This is Matteo Mellis trying to get ahead of Benjamin Westwood, the battle for P6, and he did so. Westwood down just in the middle with Louis Bazirek from Victoria Lane a little bit further back. He just got overtaken, Bazirek, by I think Janet Babicek or Gabriel Benecki as well in the back. Look at the battle between those two. Melis up into P5, Didier Kreeft down in P6 from Benjamin Westwood as well. Different racing lines as well. You can see coming to turn number 8 as run inside goes to number 50 of Benjamin Westwood. He was trying to get ahead of Didier Kreeft, but you could see that the young driver from the Netherlands had a slightly different racing line, going a little bit on the outside, trying to gain enough momentum on the exit. So different solutions, but you can see on some spots of the track that the racing line is slightly drying. Still very much the beginning of that, but that might help the drivers get a more steady line.
So over the start-finish line here, Matteo Melis has got this one sorted out. He still controls this battle for P4. However, runs a little bit wide there at the exit of turn number 1. Manages to keep it on the straight and narrow, though, and keeps control of that position. Dan Alleman at the front now, setting the fastest lap of the race. 106.753 is continuing to extend his lead. It's now to 1.4 seconds from Cranham as eyes focus on those battles in the mid-pack. Now, it looks like Benecki's had a moment out there. He's dropped behind Denny Babacek now, who's up inside the top 10 in P9. It's having a good run there. You can see Benjamin Westwood all over that rear bumper, or maybe that front bumper has maybe taken a larger knock than I think he would like, as Babacek in the background there looking for the move down the inside. He gets through on the Tony Kart liveried Teps racing machine going through, and he's made that move done, and he slots ahead of the rest. Pushing his way back through. There's another little lunge to the inside there. Louis Braseret as well, who's down 3 places, is still battling away with the likes of Max Endicott and Benjamin Westwood as well. He's got past Matteo Melis, so Melis now back down to 7th place.
And we just had a moment for the number 50. Benjamin Westwood in trouble. Unfortunately, the number 50, he had a bit of a moment on the curb into the last corner of that lap. Lap number 5 completed out of 8. And unfortunately for Benjamin Westwood, you've seen him on the left side column. He's just dropped all the way down to P19, so quite unfortunate for Benjamin Westwood. We'll get back to that. And in the meantime, we just hit the halfway point of that first qualifying heat of the junior class into turn number 8, and the battle is still raging with Janek Babicek, the number 18. Gabriel Benecci, the last year's IAME Series France winner in the junior class, as a privateer at the wheel of the Red Speed machine. 69 in the meantime, trying to make his way past Melis in front of Matteo Louis and Louis Bazire and Matteo Melis.
What happened to Benjamin Westwood? I was looking at my timing screen, Guillaume, and like you say, dropping to 19. Yeah, there it is. Straight round, and yeah, that is not what you want to see at all. Was that too much of the loud pedal there on the exit? It's never nice, is it?
I'll be honest, I saw that from the corner of my eye as I was looking at my screen as well. So there's a spin for Benjamin Westwood, unfortunately, as we're back here with the battle between Gabriel Benecci and Oliver as well. Further back, the number 60 trying to join in as well. This is the battle for the last positions available into the top 10. As in the meantime, 1.1 second between Dan Alleman and Cranham, as we are here down into turn number 8.
And I think these two have swapped places now. Yep. Riley Cranham and Sid de Rademaker, the two Fusion teammates, they have swapped places, and de Rademaker is probably thinking, right, it's my turn to try and go for the lead, even though I don't think they've got enough time for that one. They've dropped a little further down. Actually, I'm going to eat my words. This is Didier Kreeft closing in on Sid de Rademaker. So, no, I'll apologise. They've not swapped places. This is Kreeft now going into 3rd place. So there's me eating my words. And that is this other Fusion teammate going through. Cranham is still up the road. He's still clear. Those are the other two. And you can see there Louis Braseret in the background. So now Didier Kreeft up into 3rd place. He will now try and hunt down the likes of Riley Cranham in 2nd place. But we are on lap 7 of 8 here, Guillaume. Time very quickly running out for the juniors here. Yeah,
time is not on the side of Fusion drivers, despite the decreased fastest lap, putting himself into P3. And he won't have enough, unfortunately, into the race, I think, to try to switch those positions, even though you can see that Riley Cranham is giving everything in those later stages. And 1 full second from Dan Alleman, as we're here for the back with Melis and one of the TB car drivers further back. This is Matteo Melis indeed at the pursuit of Louis Bazire, the Frenchman, against the Italian, battling for P5. 69 Melis. Then we have Yannick Babicek, the number 18, a little bit further back, but at the moment, Louis Bazire from Victory Lane is trying to find his way past. Where can he maybe open slightly that door to take advantage into the last corner? That very last corner, half a turn, shall we say, in the 15 of that track with that huge curb on the outside. Doesn't look like it, of course, in those conditions, but this is a very grippy track here in Cremona. All the drivers came to the same conclusion, having been here in other series as well. As we just entered the last lap, in dry conditions, you can really push in many corners of that track, really get onto the curb, really go for the outside line without too much trouble, because there's so much grip into those tires, into the tarmac, that can really open up opportunities, which is not entirely the case here, considering how slippery that has been. But Dan Halleman is having none of it and is becoming slightly a master of the slippery conditions. 1.6 seconds, even though the gap went down to under that second. The last lap proved here fruitful for Dan Halleman, who pushed himself a little bit up into pace. 1.6 seconds. Riley Graham, realizing that he won't have enough time to switch those positions, is gonna have to make the second place, and that goes the way of Dan Halleman and Spirit Racing taking his first win of the weekend. Riley Graham second, Dick Reeft leading a pack of Fusion Motorsport drivers between his teammates, taking third place from Stig de Radermacher and Louis Bazire down in P5.
Rest of the field as well, Mateo Melis and Denny Babicek finishing 6th and 7th, but Denny Babicek seeing the checker flag, but also an investigation flag for the 18 across the finish line. So he will be thinking, oh dear, what have I done through that race? Badecki finishing in P8 from Endicott. In 9th, Daniel Oliver rounding out the top 10 from Wood, Mello, Johansson, Greeling, Westwood and Lacroix, Meta from Aletzoy. Zanat from Rana, Goetz from Mush, Peruccio and Herreti rounding out the 24 runners out on track. They will make their way back into Parc Ferme, and there is a look at the results from qualifying heat A versus B. Good start for Dan Halleman. That's how you want to start your race weekend. Flag to flag, no drama whatsoever. Get it done and do it by clear by 1.7 seconds. From Riley Cranham, a very superb drive there all the way to the end. Biggest mover in that race, you have to look to 11th place. Freddie Wood, 12 places gained in that race with the Jamie Green Racing team, who have this year in the world of IAME Racing have had a very good start to their 2025 season.
Yeah, definitely so, as Dan Halleman talking with his mechanic after the scale. Well done to you, young man. Victory for Spirit Racing. Let's see how things evolved through that qualifying heat. At the start, the pole sitter on the inside, clipping the curb slightly in front of the Fusion Motorsport drivers, but able to hold on to that position in the first of the 8 laps. And a couple of difficulties for the 27th, one of the teammates of Dan Halleman. That was unfortunately Fabio Pereriti, who was able to get back onto the track after leaving it in the early stages. Some of the interesting battles, and unfortunately for Benjamin Westwood, going around into that last corner outside of turn number 14. Might have been a slight touch. He certainly wasn't happy and tumbled on the order, as the battle kept raging through the field as well, with the TBK driver Matteo Melis fighting his way through against one of his fellow countrymen in Louis Bazire, driving for Victory Lane. As in the meantime, Yannick Babicek at the wheel on the number 18, the Tony Car machine from Teps Racing, fighting his way through against Gabriel Benetti as well, the number 26. But in the end, Dan Halleman was certainly too fast for the Fusion Motorsport drivers just behind. Not quite able, Riley Graham, to make the connection with the young Swiss driver towards the end of that race. 1.7 seconds to the line for Dan Halleman, picking up his first qualifying heat win of the day.
Indeed. Well, one junior race done. Here's the second one. This is Groups C versus D, heading out onto the circuit. Let's quickly fire you through that full starting lineup. It's an All-Britain row number 1 in the form of Jesse Phillips and Finlay Lines. Archie Owen and Elvis Karakowskis round out row number 2. They'll have Nicola Frigg and Ilias Ebers-Dobler alongside. Nilas Malik and Andrea Galamberti go from row 4. They'll have Johan Jerkin and Gabriel Canal on row number 5. Max Yule and Henry Carter, they round up row number 6.
Row number 7, we have Lorenzo Villau and Ludwig Grankist. Row number 8, as you can see, David Stefan and Jakob Bachelor. Row number 9, Zoltan Cogni and Roque Piñera. Row number 10, Noah Grelier and Peter Sarkisian. Alejandro Campos and Aurelio Gustinelli on row number 11. And row number 12, at the back end, Suzuki Maeda from Japan. A total of 23 drivers on our screen, 23 drivers as well onto the grid, ready to go for battle. Another 8 laps to go through for the junior category. And 2 formation lap as always. Usually it's 1. The conditions allow for 2 in order to get those tires, MG tires, up to temperature. As if you're joining us right now, well, you've made the right choice for the opening of the IAME Euro Series, as we are live as always all weekend, Saturday, Sunday on the IAMEEuroseries.com, Facebook, YouTube, and Motorsport TV as always, to keep you up to date and up close of the racing action here in Cremona. That's the first for the IAME Euro Series competitors. We've been here as well as part of the RGMMC scale of races over the years, but this is the first as part of the international IAME series, and there's more than one driver willing to write their names in the history books for that first ever race here in Cremona.
Certainly so. Right then, drivers getting themselves sorted out here pretty nicely at the front. It's their first race start of the weekend for Groups C versus D. Getting themselves primed and ready ahead of the rest here. I've got to say, this front row is looking very competitive here. Jesse Phillips, Finley Lines, some really great talent there on this front row. Let's see what happens then into the tram lines. Lights are out, we are racing, and it is a good start once again for the inside line. Phillips gets the jump in towards turn 1. Archie Owen follows him through as well as they go through. There's drama in the background there. One of the Ubik carts going off the track. That's, I'll try to work out. In fact, I think that's Nicola Frigg, who was started a lot higher up in the order. So Nicola Frigg, unfortunately, I think dropping to the back at the start of this race. However, the race does continue on, and Phillips going purple in Sector 1 with that lead is breaking away already. However, Archie Owen on that BMR restart team kart is working hard. Now Finley Lines has been swamped by the pack here. The driver who started this one on the front row of the grid is not having a good start to his race. He's got the Argenti colours on his wagon. He is running with the premium karting team this weekend, and for him, he is just trying to figure out how he can get the traction out of that kart. Rest of the field going through. There's a spin in the background for multiple karts there. Yeah, one of the Spirit Racings. The 17 is off the track as well. That is Gabriel Canal, who started well further up in the order. The 15 is off the track as well. That Zoltan Koini is out also, and that's not how you want to start your opening lap.
Yeah, that was a very hectic opening lap, so to speak, even between the leaders. A lot of fighting, a lot of trying to find the best racing line, a little bit of kicking, but unfortunately, he won't be able to get back to racing. And that number 17, unfortunately, that's Gabriel Canal, as a privateer from France, and yeah, he's been stuck, unable to get his engine going again with the help of the marshals. For an unfortunate turn of events, as we might need to see that again, but it seems to me that Louis Rankist as well is running into trouble, dropping places. Did he run off somewhere? We are not quite able to see him just yet, but Convinced seems to be in trouble. The number 15, Zoltan Koini as well, who just went into that crash on the opening lap, is at the very back end of that field. Will he pursue into the race? Will he get back to the Bac Fermé? Just keeping an eye on him, and he's still very much in that race, but quite unfortunate. We might need to see that again. It seems to me that there's been a first contact that led to another one, and some of the drivers going around into that tight section at the end of the lap. Not quite easy, certainly, but in the meantime, GC Phillips didn't see any of it, just kept on doing his thing, and 6/10 of a second from Archie Owen.
Exactly, that tunnel vision has kicked in for Phillips as he continues to try and break away. However, he will not break away at a rate I think he'll enjoy, as Henry Carter now sets the fastest lap of the race. 106.456 in third place. Again, another one of the Croc promotions that's looking very quick here. We've been seeing some great pace from them over the course of this weekend, as there Max Yule for the Mick Barrett Racing team. He's just had a big dive to the inside there. He's battling away with Elvis Krakowskis for the Mole Racing team. So he's pushing his way along nicely throughout this field, but we'll keep an eye on the progressions of them. The Lithuanian, though, continuing to hold on to P6 right now. as the race leaders go through. I want to keep an eye on this one here, though. The battle for second place. Henry Carter and Archie Owen, they are getting pretty close there. And Carter, with that pace on the crop promotions, looks like he might go for a move. Albeit, though, he was right on the rear bumper of Owen going into the final corner. He has dropped back significantly now down the start-finish straight. So maybe some dramas for Carter on that last lap as Phillips recovers. And now goes the fastest driver out there. There's a look at your points. Stan Alleman and Jesse Phillips at the moment leading those, of course, with the win for Alleman and Phillips pushing his way through. Well, just as I was saying, Carter dropping back. He's now up into second place. He's got that move done. So clearly showing that his pace in that midsection is very, very quick.
Yeah, definitely so. He just demonstrated that by putting out this move in turn number 8. Henry Carter up in second place with that cross promotion machine. Allows and good time, and let's have a look back at that move, shall we? As Carter around the inside, clipping the curb beautifully on the outside of turn number 7, and that's how he did it. That's how you need to do it, just to put yourself up in the front. Henry Carter in the meantime, so in second. I was going to say 10 degrees Celsius, and the track is slightly drying, as we said. That's the opportunity that JC Phillips had been expecting to keep on building that gap up to 1.3 seconds.
Well, you can definitely tell it's drying, of course, with that Carter and Owen overtake. You could see that Carter taking a more traditional racing line through there. It showed that there was so much more speed on it. You saw Owen was taking the wet line still. It was hugging it tight there to bring it to the outside for the next corner. However, that doesn't seem to be the fastest way through that chicane now. So the track ever evolving, and I'm looking out the commentary box. I am seeing a dry patch here and there. Don't get me wrong, it's still a very, very wet circuit. We are miles away from going slicks, but I'll tell you what, if the rain holds off here, Guillaume, we could be seeing some slicks out in maybe the next few races. We'll have to wait and see. That will certainly make it very, very interesting. Here's Finley Lines battling away. And he's still in a good position here. He's still holding on to P5. He's got backlight all over the back of him. No longer, though, because he's gone through. Has the number 80. And Jakub through he goes. Now, he's rocking one of those new NASA panels. He's rocking one of the ones that I've dubbed the Platypus, which is the Paralin-made one. It's the 017 BP30. There you go. That's the official model number, if you cared about that. There you go. I certainly haven't over the course of the weekend. Carter, now he's looking very, very strong once again. That gap down to 0.6 of a second. Phillips might have to look over his shoulder here, Guillaume.
Yeah, actually the gap just decreased by half pretty much between Carter and Phillips in the course of one lap. That's going to be an interesting battle for the few laps remaining into that qualifying heat, as we hear in turn number 8, with number 20, so a little bit further back. Krasauskas was starting a little bit further up the classification. He was on the second row of the grid. Krasauskas not having the race he had been expecting. He has the pressure of Jurkan, Yul, Noah Grenier, the young Belgian at the wheel of that Eurocard machine. Climbing 9 places, Noah Grenier up to P10. Villao, Gustinelli are not far behind either. As around the inside goes the Zanke Motorsport driver, the 47. This is Jurkan. Johan Jurkan making his way past Elvis Krasauskas for P7, as we said. Coming to turn number 1. And as you said rightly, Anthony, the racing line seems to be drying as the drivers are going a little bit slightly outside of it with more confidence than before. JC Phillips, in the meantime, just responded to the pressure from Carter in second place with another fastest lap in the back for the young British driver. 1 full 0.6 of a second now for JC Phillips in front of Carter. He just responded again with a very purple first sector, so they're going back and forth between the two leaders. 1 fastest lap for Phillips, 1 purple first sector for Carter, and then that gap comes back down to 0.6 of a second, on almost 7th now, at the advantage of the Fusion leader. So that might come down to an interesting battle to the last lap of that race.
Certainly so. We are nearing the end of that race, and here is Archie Owen battling away in 3rd place all by himself. Here's your race leader, Jesse Phillips, onto the final lap of this race. However, Henry Carter is closing in. That gain of 10 places. The gap is around 0.9 of a second, so it actually has extended a little bit more. Phillips in a good management mode right now, just trying to nurse that kart to the end of this race. The driver of the number 22 really pushing in strongly in this one. Now Phillips knows how to pedal around this circuit. He was the winner of the Open Games here last weekend at the Cremona circuit, so he knows how to get that wagon around this lap. So he's looking to see if he can maintain a strong performance over the course of the day and those qualifying heats they've got. Only a few more corners to go for Phillips and Carter, and I think it's just all bring it to the end. Absolutely nail it through these last couple of corners. You can see how twitchy it is still as the track conditions try to improve over the course of today's racing. It will be the young Briton Jesse Phillips taking the lead and taking the win ahead of Henry Carter. Archie Owen ahead of Nilis Malik. Jacob Ashley crosses the line, 11 places gained, finishes in P5 out of Finley Lines. Johan Jerkin finishing in 7th place ahead of Elvis Karakalskis. Noah Grenier with 10 places gained finishes in 9th. From Max Yule running out the top 10 with a place gain of 1. But for Jesse Phillips, strong start for him.
Yeah, definitely 1 or 2 laps would have been needed for Henry Carter to maybe change that scenario, but he was coming close. But Jesse Phillips was there to respond. Here's our classification in full. Outside of the top 10, we have Lorenzo Viallo, Aurelio Agustinelli P12. A good, strong recovery for him, 10 places up to P12. Then we have Andrea Gariberti, yes, MS Doble, David Stefan, Ludwig Rankist, who ran through some trouble but still made it to P16. Then he finished in front of Pel Sarkisian, Suske Maeda, Nicola Frigg, Alejandro Campos, Zoltan Cogni, Roque Piniera Rosinol, and one driver missing out in Gabriel Canal, the privateer from France. That's it for the opening races for the junior class. We're going to switch our attention to the mini category in just a moment. The time for Jesse Phillips and his mechanic from Fusion Motorsport to debrief the race that just took place. Things unfolded the right way for Jesse Phillips, the former not only Open Games but also IGames, IAME Euro Series and Winter Cup winner. So he's done them all, Jesse Phillips, and will he be certainly the one standing on top of the podium? That remains to be seen, but certainly among the contenders. Let's see how he did it. And a couple of drivers are running into trouble into the first few meters. The turn 1 and 2 have proved to be quite difficult for some of them. Into turn number 8, into that opening lap. As we said, this has been hectic, this has been aggressive, just the way we like it. But at some point into the last sector of the track, things turn into mayhem for some of the drivers. A first spin, a first contact leading to another on the outside of the track. 2 drivers going off. Unfortunately, Gabriel Canal not quite able to keep on going into that race, and certainly not happy about it. Racing can be cruel at this early stage of the weekend, but in the meantime, once the track was made clear, the battles just kept on raging, with one of the Argentine drivers, the number 81 of Finley Lanis, making his way through.
Yeah, indeed. Finley Lines having a pretty solid race in that one, but from the front row, only dropping 4 places. Checker flag going out then. Jesse Phillips claiming his 50 intermediate classification points. He joins Dan Alleman with those 50 points. And of course, Dan Alleman being the pole sitter from qualifying, he means he leads those points. We'll see the juniors out later on today. They'll be kick-starting our racing after the lunch break, which is coming up after the next 5 races. We'll turn our attention now to the Mini X30 category, the youngest drivers here this weekend, but certainly some of the bravest drivers after qualifying A versus B. Mathis Brageau will be the pole sitter. The Frenchman certainly delivering a strong performance, but it was very close in qualifying. Aurelio Longatano joining him on that front row of the grid was the 2nd fastest overall in time qualifying. There was barely anything separating them.
Yeah, definitely. So Aurelio Longatano was that we've seen fighting for the victory at the IAME Winter Cup of last February, but unfortunately lost the podium after a couple of tussles in the later stages. Let's see what he can do. But Mathis Brageau, he will be starting from pole position. We caught up with him yesterday after his performance in qualifying. Let's see what he had to say. Mathis Brageau, what a start to the IAME Euro Series season for you. Fastest of your group. It's looking good in qualifying and hopefully looking good for the races as well. What do you think?
It was one good performance first, so yeah, it was cool.
How did you do it actually in qualifying? Can you talk us through the lap? A lot of traffic, I'm sure, but still you managed to find your way through.
I have one guy in front of me. So in the last turn, I a little bit slow. So I have the slipstream for all the lap. So yeah, it was cool.
So it's looking good for the races as well. There's going to be another competition, but on this track of Cremona, you think you can maximize your performance and finish on top of the podium?
Oh, yes.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Always nice to see and to hear from the young drivers. Mathis Brageau, it's fair to be said that his native language is French, and he was feeling more comfortable doing it in French, but still tried it in English, and we are very grateful for those young drivers to practice the language with us. So thanks again to Mathis Brageau, feeling very, very happy about his performance. Aurelio Longhitano, the street driver from Spirit Racing, will be by his side. The two teammates side by side on the front row of the grid, and look at what's happening, ladies and gentlemen.
Dear.
We saw that from the corner of our eyes, but the rain is coming back in Cremona.
Well, we saw the rain radar earlier on. I think our weatherman is telling us porky pies here because it said there was nothing rain-related anywhere near us. It was just cloudy. How wrong he was. Right, yellow light flashing then at the front. We are moments away from starting this first mini race of the weekend. Groups A versus B, the fastest from time qualifying. And like we say, it all starts with Brageau and Longhitano on the front row of that grid. All engines have fired up, and you can see there the last few words from the mechanics just saying, get those tyres warmed up, because you're going to need it. And unfortunately, all the work the front drivers have done trying to clear the water off the circuit, the youngest drivers are going to have to deal with some fresh, wet racing. Well, let's quickly fire you through that full starting lineup as the full grid of 37 drivers split into the two groups heads out onto the circuit. Mathis Brageau and Aurelio Longhitano on row number 1. Charles Clough and Henry King, they go from row 2. They'll have Milan Baku and Harry Williams from row number 3. Baptiste Augustine and Mason Hibbert go from row 4. They'll have Alex Riley and Aaron Buchhofer on row number 5 with Stanislav Zarko and Austin Newstead on row number 6.
Row number 7, we have Mason Brooks and Sasha Miras, followed by Alexander Frickberg and Denver Boss on row number 8. Row number 9, Nahil Padovani and Louis Paternot on row number 9. And row number 10 at the back end of the grid, Milo Cornil. A total of 19 drivers, and we do have everybody on board for this first qualifying heat of the day. For the mini category A versus B, means we have the fastest drivers out of qualifying practice yesterday afternoon. Mathis Brageau put it on pole, as you heard from him. He was delighted about his performance. Let's see if he will be able to take his Powerlane machine up to the first spot at the end of this qualifying heat. 7 laps to go through. 11 for the seniors, 8 for the juniors. Less laps, less distance. Younger drivers also for the mini category, with competitors aged between 8 and 12 years old to compete into that class. Another formation lap to get those tires up to temperature. We've seen the rain coming back. Doesn't seem to be increasing that much. Let's cross those fingers for the youngsters of the mini category, as the racing line was slightly drying out. Well, it comes back to 0 pretty much, as one of the drivers unfortunately is going off the 417 into turn number 3. That was
Alex Riley from Ireland, who was due to start this race on the 5th row of the grid. He'll have a bit of work to try and get back to that starting spot, but if he doesn't before the red line on the circuit, he will unfortunately start at the back of the field. Right then, drivers making their way into that section now. You can see the two Spirit Racing drivers slowing the pack down now. Will be the pack behind really needs to get a wiggle on and close in here. We might be sending these drivers around again. You can see the yellow flags are waving, but the field is very, very spread out here, Guillaume, and I've got to think this might be a very early call if we're going or not. Let's wait and see. It's a false start. Yeah, only half the grid is there. The rest of them, they're coming around the final corner now. So, yeah, back of the grid there needs to get a bit of a wiggle on. Yeah. There we go. Maybe the weatherman wasn't lying. We just didn't see it. There's a fresh bout of rain, yes, that's about to hit the circuit and is hitting the circuit currently, because you can see it by the fresh raindrops on the cameraman's lens there here at the Cremona circuit. And I've got to say, you can see a lot of rain coming from a distance here. If it's a nice clear day, you can see a big rain cloud coming out because it's completely flat here. We're in the flatlands, the farmlands just south of the Alps, of course, in northern Italy. It's a very unique part of the world, very dynamic terrain here. Like you say, the flat farmlands and then the very dramatic high mountains of the Alps. So, yeah, we are in a lovely place of the world. Here we go then. Second time's charm, maybe. We'll wait and find out as the whole field is now organised. It's very early organised here because they're still miles away from the actual red line. Now, the red line over the circuit, denoting where they should be in this formation, is actually on the exit of this corner here. So they're going to turn 12. You'll see there are some marshals there with the yellow flags. That is to showcase where that line is. There it is. They've passed that now. Now, no overtaking. Side-by-side formation will begin. And let's see if we're going this time around. Looks a lot better here. Into the tramline's end. First time this weekend. Matis Brajot and Aurelio Longatano will take us in towards turn number 1. It's a good start once again for the inside line. Charles Clough as well has also a very good start. He sweeps to the outside, but Longatano's off the circuit. He's gone off, and there's another one around in the background. That looks like an XL kart that's gone around. It might be Alex Riley, or it could be Baptiste Augustin. Not too sure, but we will find out in a few moments' time. However, the rest of the field gets a good run. There's one of the Fusion karts off the track now. That's not been a good start for them. Is that Harry Williams in the 410? Again, not too sure because there's multiple Fusion karts out there. No, it's the 439 that's gone off the track. That is Mason Hibbert, unfortunately for Fusion Motorsport. He is out of this race. Can confirm as well. It was Henry King with the XL karts that went off the track, as well as Stanislav Zarko has also had a moment.
And we've just seen another driver going off in turn number 8, unfortunately on the corner of our screen. And didn't get to see who that was, but it might have been Mason Hibbert, so we might need to see that again. But unfortunately, well, it's going left and right for some of the competitors into that opening lap for the minis. Slippery conditions, as we said, the rain has come back, making certainly the life of those youngsters even more difficult. Let's have a look at the classification as they come in front of our position. Opening lap completed. Matis Brajot having no trouble at all into that opening lap from pole position. Is leading from Charles Clough in second place. Austin Newsted, 9 places gain. And maybe a 10th one on the inside. Newsted run inside of Charles Clough into turn number 3. Beautifully made from the Fusion Motorsport driver. Up into second. Harry Williams was trying to follow him through. Stays in 4th. Mason Brooks, P5. We have Milan Beku being overtaken by Aaron Buhofe for P6. Alex Riley, Denver Boss, and Milo Kornil, your current top 10 at the moment. And a couple of drivers that we've lost through the process of that opening lap. Zlatinas Siarkov, Henry King, Nahil Padonavi, as well as Mason Hibbert is the one who went off in turn number 8, I think. And all those drivers at the back end of the field trying to catch up.
Indeed. Well, race now getting into a rhythm here, and Matis Brajot clear by 1.1 seconds now from Austin Newsted, who, like you say, has had an absolutely fabulous start to his race, pushing his way through. That's a nice little send down the inside there for the Eichmann's GP Racing driver. Milan Baku gaining a good bit of ground then in the early stages of this race. Trying to fight back from the start of this race. Lap number 3 of 7 now. That rain really starting to set in now here at Cremona. Marshals have dived back under their cover as much as they can. So has the media as well. Unfortunately, our brave cameramen are still out there bracing the elements out the circuit. But again, brilliant work from them over the course of the day. Eyes on this. Newsted closed in on Brajot. He has not let him break away. That 1.1 second gap has dissipated now to 0.4 of a second here, Guillaume. And we could see a change for the lead very, very soon. There they are, making their way into the snail section. This is through turns 10. In towards 11 and 12. Oh. He's not going to waste any time. Yep. Down the inside goes Austin Newsted. That's now 11 places gained into P1.
Yeah, one apace from the young British driver from Fusion. Up in the lead at the end of lap number 3 out of 7. Matis Brajot just did the right thing, shutting that door just behind and not letting any space. He's right on his tail as he come across in front of a position into that start-finish straight. Brajot still very much in the shadow of Austin Newsted coming to turn number 3. Harry Williams down in 3rd place in front of Brooks. Hofer. And watch out for Mathis Brajot. You can see the different racing lines trying to find a little bit of a grip. Avoid that curb by any means, because clipping it might make you lose momentum and get you in a very uncomfortable positions compared to your rivals. But your new race leader, Austin Newstead, starting 12, P1 at the moment. And look at how close they come to the white line in the entry of that pit lane coming to turn number 8. That shows you that the inside of that slightly banked hairpin is no way to go for those youngsters. But watch out not to put your wheels into the grass at a specific place, as Mathis Brajot has lost a bit of momentum into that second sector. You can see Harry Williams getting close to the Frenchman. It's going to be an interesting tussle. Those two might want to help each other out a little bit, push forward, try not to lose contact with Austin Newstead. That's all he's asking the British driver to secure that win as we enter lap number 5, and the gap just extended to 0.7 of a second.
Indeed, Newstead definitely seems to have checked out on this one. Harry Williams now closing in as well, the winner of the Open Games in the Mini 60 category last weekend at the Cremona circuit, is closing in, looking very, very strong here. The same as Brooks as well. Mason Brooks with those 9 places gained for the Fusion Motorsport team. He is also seeming to enjoy these wet weather conditions, and he's closing in on these two as well. Look to the inside maybe for Williams. No, thinks against it, just again assessing the grip levels maybe on that inside lining towards turn number 8. The track is not improving. The rain continues to fall here in Cremona, and it's certainly making it very, very treacherous for the young drivers here. But they are showcasing some very skilled driving out on track. Like you say, lap number 5, this battle's still unfolding, and I'm thinking here Brooks may be in a chance of really closing in on this one. A little further down in the order as well. Miller Cornell for the Euro karting team is looking pretty strong. He's inside the top 10 now as well, with a gain of 9 places, as we will watch here Brajot and Williams go wheel to wheel, toe to toe. No change from them just yet though, Guillaume, but they're looking like we could see a move very soon.
Yeah, it's always a dilemma for those youngsters, or for any driver in those conditions, whether it is trying to attack once the first opportunity comes your way, or waiting certainly for the last lap, the last opportunity to surprise your opponent. Let's see what Harry Williams and is going for the first option. Run inside of turn number 8, pushing slightly Mathis Brajot, both staying on the circuit. But Brooks could take advantage of that situation. Is staying where he is, just behind, observing the battle in front of him. Maybe he's the one who's going to be surprising them both into the last lap, just a couple of meters before that last round. But Mathis Brajot down in third, certainly willing to switch those positions one last time, at least trying to, because he was your leader from pole position. Certainly not quite happy not being able to translate that result in qualifying to positive result into qualifying heat, even though a P3 at that stage is still certainly worthy. As we go into the final lap, and 1.8 seconds, nothing to worry about for Newstead in the lead.
No, not at all. Final lap board then out, and these drivers still pushing their way along. Newstead continuing to set those fastest laps as well. 109.685. as that gap extends to 1.8 seconds now from the rest of the field. Mason Brooks is all over the back here of Mathis Brajot. Battle for third place is on, and are we going to see a change here? Brooks looks to the inside, he's going to go for it. A carbon copy of what his teammate did earlier on. He copies that one and gets through as well. So Brajot, the pole sitter, only dropping 3 places, still in a strong finishing order. But here on your screen, Austin Newstead, a superb drive for him. Clearly something didn't go well in qualify for him, because he started the races in P12. 11 places gained to the front, utilizing his skills in the wet racing conditions. He's going to look for his first win of the weekend. It's Austin Newstead claiming it then ahead of Harry Williams. Mason Brooks finishing in third place ahead of Mathis Brajot. Aaron Buhofer finishing in P5 out of Charles Clough. Milan Baku from Aurelia Longatano. Alex Riley from Miller Cornell. Denver Boss rounding out the top 11 drivers out on circuit. But Newstead certainly delivering a very strong result there, Guillaume. I think that's exactly what he would like to see over the course of this one. The showcasing the pace, he knows he's got it. Yes, it was a bad qualifying, but he can get through, and after 7 laps, he takes his first win of the weekend.
And that's another win for Fusion Motorsport in front of Harry Williams, Mason Brooks. 1, 2, 3 for the British team from Mathis Brageaud from Spirit Racing, and his teammate Aaron Bierhofer down in P5 from Cialclo, Milan Becu, Aurelio Longhitano down in P8. Certainly a few things to change and work on for the next 2 qualifying races for Aurelio Longhitano. Alex Reilly down in P9 from Milo Cornel, Dan Vebos, Mason Hebert, Baptiste Augustin, Luis Paternot, Alexander Fusberg, Sacha Miras, Stanislas Zierko, Henry King, and Nahil Padovani. All 19 drivers made it to the checkered flag. Some of them certainly not at the place they had been expecting. That's part of the game, that's part of racing, and we've seen through that opening lap that, as we're going to see once again, things have been going certainly the wrong way for some of the competitors. Mathis Brageaud from the left side took advantage of that pole position to build himself a bit of a gap, but things didn't go according to plan for one of his teammates. Stanislav Zierko found himself the wrong way around. A couple of drivers into those opening corners, going the long way around into the grass and losing momentum, just like one of the Fusion drivers. That might have been Mason Hebert as well. And it was the 432 actually, Nahil Padovani and not Mason Hebert, who went out in turn number 8 into that opening lap. So correction made for Nahil, the Spanish driver from Auto Club. Well, that meant finishing last of that qualifying heat, running inside the 4 or 6 of Austin Newstead. That was the first move for the win. Copy text from his teammate Harry Williams 1 lap later into that last round in front of Mathis Brageaud, young Frenchman who kept on defending, but twice at the same place by 2 teammates of the same formation. Well, that's lesson learned, I'm sure, for Mathis Brageaud. You won't take him twice, you won't take him a 3rd time, certainly, at this specific space, specific corner of that track. Even though always easier said than done in those conditions, you want to shut that door as much as you can while protecting your racing line. But on 2 occasions, that wasn't enough for Mathis Brageaud. And Austin Newstead, Harry Williams, and Mason Brooks all managed to find their way through that specific corner. Here's what's next in the schedule for today.
Yeah, indeed. Plenty of action coming up. We've still got 1 more mini race to go, then 3 senior races before the lunch break. Then we're back to juniors, minis, seniors, juniors, minis, seniors, all the way to the end of the day. It's pretty much like that. We've got around 4 minutes until the next race. We are going to take a short ad break. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back with the 2nd round of mini racing very, very soon.
It makes life a lot easier out the track, so you don't have to worry about school and on-track performance and grades and all that sort of stuff.
The school understands exactly what I'm doing. They understand, how important it is for me, and the schedule that they, cater for me is really well balanced, and I really enjoy it.
It's a very fine balance between his sporting career and also his studies. He doesn't have to compromise on either. I'm very happy that Minerva has supported us through this journey.
The communication is great, and yeah, I'm enjoying it.
I think MVA would help a lot of other races. A lot of people come into the track and asking about it. What do you do for homeschool? Like, how does it work? And I always say, Minerva, you need to contact them and get going with them because it's made my life so much easier.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. If you are just joining us, you are watching the IAME Euro Series Round 1 at the Cremona circuit in 2025. Mini X30 qualifying heat C versus D is coming up next. We have just witnessed the first race for the Minis, a fabulous drive, and Jesse Phillips coming away with that race win. The first one for the Mini X30 category. But this time, we've got some new drivers on that front row. From the USA, Win Gottschalk, there he is on your screen. The winner of the IAME Winter Cup this year, earlier in Valencia, showcasing some really strong pace. As you can see, the rain is continuing to fall here in northern Italy. But these drivers all running a fresh set of wet tyres out there. Like we were saying, Win Gottschalk starting this one on that front row. He will have the close company, though, of Daniel Ferguson starting alongside. They will lock out that front row. You've got Johnson Stewart out there. You've got Abraham Shelvis, George House as well, and George Clark. The two Georges who will be racing this one, they'll be starting third and fourth on the grid. And both of these drivers have had relatively decent runs in their young racing careers already. George Clark, P3 in the Open Games here a week ago. George House as well, P4 in the Open Games a week ago. So one just on the podium, one just off it, but that was last week. This is this week, and let's see what happens as the engines fire up. They will make their way out onto the circuit, and let's quickly fire you through that full starting lineup. Win Gottschalk and Daniel Ferguson go from row number 1. Johnson Stewart and Abraham Shelvis join them on the second row of the grid. George House and Lorenzo Di Pietrantonio go from row number 3. They'll have George Clark and Teo Pelfrain on row number 4. Max Cruz and Charles Ural round out row number 5.
On row number 6, we have Colby Pattinson and Christian Corby. Row number 7, we have Kim Mignare and Ollie Sordi Schmistad. We have Andy Stewart and Oliver Wojtjens on row number 8. Row number 9, Mattis Nobbs and Ailis Sami. A total of 18 drivers onto this grid, at least on our grid and on the track as well. 7 laps to go through once again for the Minis. Oh, and one of the Fusion drivers, you can see him now going around the wrong way, actually.
That's Daniel Ferguson from the front row of the grid. So
Ooh.
Daniel Ferguson, who should have been starting P2,
not ideal.
yeah, needs to get a wiggle on here if he wants to get back to the front. And I can imagine everyone else who is on that track needs to think, right, let's keep going. Let's get to that red line as fast as we possibly can, because then that's one position gained already on the field. So they'll do that. It's one of those sticks and stones moments, but rest of the field then getting themselves sorted out, and still a very shaky start here. So Win Gottschalk will be all on his own then on the front row of this grid. He will not be able to gain any positions, the same as Abraham Shelvis. He'll have to leave that gap where Daniel Ferguson would have been. He cannot be alongside him. But of course, they're going around again. They get an extra formation lap, everything like that, and get themselves sorted out. So he's got a little bit of time here, has Daniel Ferguson, to get back into position. However, they will try and beat him to the line here, because I don't actually see Ferguson anywhere in that picture trying to close in.
No, I think he's still at the back end, trying to catch up a little bit, side by, position by position. But he might want to wait until the last sector of that second warm-up lap, when everybody is going to be bunched up. With the pace set by our pole sitter, Win Gottschalk, the winner of the IAME Winter Cup back in Valencia in February. You might remember that. There's been a beautiful battle for the win, and you can see the rain has come back. It's dropping quite a bit. Some of the mechanics are quite happy to have a roof above their heads on the gantry there.
Indeed, yeah. There's people watching. There's Alicia Barrett there. You can just see one of the Fusion mechanics, former racer, now Spanner, and running with the Fusion team. A lot of the Fusion team out there. Big showing with them in their mini category, and as well in their junior category as well. So strong performance from them as well. The rest of the teams here, the Jamie Green Racing team, a big show for them as well. XL Motorsport, big show for them in the mini category as well. They've got lots of drivers here this weekend. The same for Victory Lane Karting, the French team in a good position. Riat, there he is, back in position. Daniel Ferguson, he made it to where he needed to be. Let's see if we're going racing first time. It looks a bit shaky. It is a bit too shaky. They are going round again. False start, you can see there were big gaps in the order there, and our race director Martin Bean deeming that one not a good start.
Yeah, it's down to the pole sitter, in this case, Wayne Goldschlag, to really pace everybody, just to reduce that speed into the last sector, and in order for the others to get into formation. It's forbidden to accelerate before the yellow light, the yellow line, shall I say, just in the middle of the grid. And past that point, well, the race is on, but before that, everybody has to be really put together in one group. And he's onto the front line, not to accelerate just too soon. That's certainly Wayne Goldschlag being a little bit too pushy, just too soon before that yellow light, that yellow line, I'll get it right, and not allowing the others to really be in the right position into the corridors. So we might try that again, but the rain is really pouring. This is the strongest it's been pouring for the past hour, certainly. That won't help the case of the youngsters up in front. But let's see what Daniel Ferguson will be able to do after that, having a bit of a moment in one lap ago. Wayne Goldschlag, Daniel Ferguson, attempt number 2.
Here we go then. This looks much better into the tram lines. Lights are out. We are racing. Great start again from the inside line. Wayne Goldschlag has the run in towards turn number 1, and he does not need to worry at all about anyone else. Johnson Stewart follows him through on the Energy Course chassis. You can see him there trying to go through, and for the XL Motorsport team, not quite close enough to get the move done though, and he'll slot into second place. He's going to try and get the switch back here. There's contact, and round goes Wayne Goldschlag, the pole sitter in this race, the American out, and he is furious, throwing a hand up in the air with a shake of the head, and that was 2 karts in the same piece of track. Do not go.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a first big drama that we have. Unfortunately, Wayne Goldschlag being turned around into that opening lap. Well, we had seen a couple of strong moves and opportunities here and there by the drivers, but this is the first proper drama hitting one of the contenders for this second day of racing here in Cremona. He was certainly hoping for a better scenario out of pole position. One of the fastest in the mini category, Winter Cup winner, as we said, and being turned around. We might need to see it again. As a result, I think we can call that a racing incident. Unfortunately, there might not have been any intention from the other driver to send him into a spin. We might need to see that again, but the 477 George House is being investigated. That makes very much sense. Once there's an incident like that, the officials in the control room might need to take a look at that to see what happened.
Well, here it is again. Now you can see now they're both just running to the edge there. Well, it's hard to tell really from that angle where they're really heading, but clearly the person who's gained the most out of that one is George House, and the person who's lost out the most of that is Wayne Goldschlag. So, but again, those angles not really giving us a clearer picture, but that's okay because race control, which has Joanna Falcao and David Manchester in constant communication with our race director Martin Bean, they have around 50 cameras or so. That's quite an exaggeration, probably around 35 or so. But they've got lots of camera angles out there, and they can see everything they need back, forward. They can zoom in, up and down, left and right, zoom in, and all of that. It's good stuff.
Yeah, they can do a lot of things.
They can do a lot of stuff, a lot more than what we can do. Right, here we go then. Lap number 2 that we are on. We're ending this lap now that we're going on to lap 3. There's a look at your intermediate classifications. George House currently in the lead, but under investigation. He is joint on points with Austin Newstead, but of course, George House out qualifying Newstead would put him ahead in the points. As down the inside there, nice little chop and change. The 2 Fusion drivers going wheel to wheel. Lorenzo Di Pitti Antonio having a good run there to kind of showcase the force that Fusion Motorsport have here. You've got, well, XL Motorsport 1-2 right now. Then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Fusion Motorsport karts in one long train, all battling away, which is why you see so many of those Fusion mechanics in the grandstand there. Eyes focused on this one down towards turn number 8. You're seeing the racing lines coming in. You can imagine maybe in these early stages, is there going to be a little bit of teamwork between these drivers? Not too sure if there is, but we'll have to wait and see, because of course they're all racing for themselves, but it's a championship. It's a long weekend. You're not going to win the championship at the end of this weekend, but you are going to get some championship points, and that's what matters as these drivers end this lap. We'll keep a close eye on it. Still George House and Johnson Stewart in the lead. XL Motorsport 1-2 right now from the Fusion train.
It's about building the confidence at this stage of the weekend and of the championship, as you said. Run inside Clark on the young Italian Lorenzo Di Pietrantonio. Losing a place as Clark made his way past for P3. As you can see, Lorenzo Di Pietrantonio, the young Italian, putting the fastest lap in the race, is the one who took third place from Clark. My apologies. So here's a result of the strong pace that the Italian has delivered in the past lap. But it's about building confidence, as we said. It's about not doing anything otherwise, because competing for themselves, as on the inside, the 412 of Kobe on his teammate, beautifully made on Clark. Another place is gained, lost, I'm afraid, for Clark, as Ferguson just in front holds on to that 4th place. In the meantime, Josh House, the current leader of that opening race, for those two groups, 1.8 seconds at the moment on Johnson Stewart, so nothing to worry about. Mastering those conditions, Josh House, after what happened in the opening lap. It remains to be seen what decision will be made by the officials, but the rain is pouring harder than ever for the youngsters of the mini class. 0.3 of a second, that's the battle for P2. Watch out, XL against Fusion Motorsport. On the inside goes the young Italian Lorenzo Di Pietrantonio, and he might be able to make that stake on the outside, switching the lines, not quite able to. Yes, he can now, up into P2.
Yeah, indeed. Nice little chop and change there. And where we saw that moment earlier on, no such drama this time around. And like you were saying, Di Pietrantonio getting through into 2nd place. Now that gap between himself and George House is 2.2 seconds. George House under investigation. If anything comes to fruition from that investigation, House will need around 5 seconds clear to make sure he's covered from any potential penalties that may come his way. Of course, it's only an investigation, but he's still in a strong spot there, but the gap is coming down already. It was 2.2, it's now 2 seconds, 2/10 in this lap alone taken out. So Lorenzo Di Pietrantonio is closing in on House at quite a significant rate here, so we'll have to wait and see. They'll cross the line. George House goes across. What is the new gap? It was 2.0. Well, it's gone actually up now, 2.1. So it's fluctuating between the two of them, but we'll keep a very close eye on it. Guillaume, that rain looking even worse now. It looks absolutely torrid out there.
Yeah, again, that's when I'm happy to be a commentator with a roof above my head. Shout out to everybody on track, whether these are the camera crew, the officials, the marshals, the Orange Army that we have on track. We're very much with you, and we're so much thankful for your effort in those very difficult conditions. As around the hairpin of turn number 8, for 26 of Ferguson, being chased by Kobe, Clark behind in P6, Kelvis, Kinye, Pattinson, and Sammy. That's for your current top 10. 0.3 of a second between the Irish and the British driver. As Josh House, as you said, is culminating his gap to 2.2 seconds at the moment. Nothing to worry about. Lorenzo Di Pietrantonio in 2nd place, trying to shake off a little bit Stewart down in 3rd. Half of a second. Here's your leader, Josh House, entering the last lap of what will be a strong demonstration of skills into those difficult conditions, with the rain getting heavier by the minute. Di Pietrantonio down in 2nd with 0.4 of a second still between the Italian and Stewart, so maybe something could be done. Here comes the battle for 2nd place with Ferguson and Kobe not far behind, so that will be a very last difficult lap for Di Pietrantonio, holding on to that racing line, trying not to get himself just to get shaken by the drivers just behind. But I think that if he keeps it steady like he does, he will get that 2nd place in the bag. And as you can see, with that victory, Josh House will put himself in the lead on equal points with Newstead, with Harry Williams dropping to 3rd place in front of Di Pietrantonio. Still very much provisional classification. These are only 2 races down into the mini class. We'll make the calculations towards the end of the day to have pole sitters for the superheat of tomorrow morning. The checkered flag is waving. One last kick of the throttle. And the first win of the weekend for Josh House and Excel Motorsport. A quick look over the shoulder. 2.1 second on the finish line. And the second place for Lorenzo Di Pietrantonio. From Johnson Stewart, Daniel Ferguson, Christian Colby, your top 5. Not the easiest of conditions, but those youngsters of the mini class, all of them are actually 18 at the start and 18 at the finish.
Indeed. Well, a very dramatic start to that race for House, but certainly a much calmer second half as he'll make his way back to Parc Ferme, of course, with that investigation looming over his head. The rest of the field then, like we were saying, Lorenzo Di Pietrantonio, a brilliant run for the Italian, finishing in P2 ahead of Johnson Stewart, Daniel Ferguson, Christian Kirby from George Clark, Abraham Shelvis, Kim and Jay, Colby Patterson, Ilya Sami with a good run there, 8 places gained from Theo Palfrain, Ollie Shirley, or Ollie Simstad, I should say, finishing in 12th place from Andy Stewart, Win Godschalk recovering back to 14th place ahead of Charles Ural, Mattis Knobs from Max Cruz, and Oliver Waitians rounding out the 18 drivers in that race. Well, there, your winner on track, George House, for the XL Motorsport team. And you can imagine a flustered driver there, but thinking, right, let's just focus on the next race. And the rest of this weekend, of course, a lot of races they've got to get through over the course of this weekend. Here we go then, here's the highlights from that one. And again, the inside line, very strong start for Godschalk, Stewart and George House. The drama, though, would unfold at turn number 5. The double apex here, you can see on the exit, the front two here, House and Godschalk just making contact there. Round would go the American. A very frustrated moment for him, but like you say, recovering back to 14th place at the start of that one. Another angle of it there. But that's such an unfortunate start for the Winter Cup champion this year.
Yeah, definitely. So something that you don't want to see at the beginning of such an important weekend as the opener of this year's series. But it will come back stronger, no doubt, for Wayne Goldschalk, who finished all the way down in P14. As in the meantime, the Fusion teammates kept on battling, trying to find themselves a little bit of space. As in the meantime, and in the end, it would be Josh House who would take on the final win, the 418 on the inside of Lorenzo Di Pietrantonio, the young Italian, climbing to second place after that strong move on the inside of turn number 3. Josh House in the finish line, getting up a 2.1 second advantage, so there is really no one able to catch up with the young British driver from XL Motorsport, picking up his maiden win in the qualifying heats of the mini class. Watch out for Josh House, as certainly Wayne Goldschalk will be certainly more than eager to take revenge after what happened. It remains to be seen if Josh House will get to keep his result. As we said, an investigation is ongoing as a result of that incident in the opening lap. We are in no position to confirm that whatsoever now. We're going to have to be patient about this. And in the meantime, we're going to take a short break before coming back to the track. Stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. We have 3 more senior races to go before the lunchtime.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the IAME Euro Series 2025. We are nearly done with the first half of the day. We'll be heading into the second half after the lunch break and also after our next 3 races. Senior X30 heading to the track next. You can see them there lined up, ready to go. Hoods are up, raincoats are on. It is terrible out there. The rain is tumbling at quite a rate, but that's not going to be phasing any one of our drivers there. Danny Caronini starting this one on the front row of the grid. Brilliant qualifying for him, second fastest overall. Here's what he had to say after his qualifying session.
Danny Caronini, that's one way to conclude the qualifying here in Cremona. Fastest of your group, not quite as fast as another driver before you, but still you prove yourself as one of the contenders this weekend.
Yes, I'm really happy after a bad day yesterday. The speed was not really good. We worked all the evening yesterday and today. We make fantastic job now. It's only the beginning, but I'm really happy. I want to thank always my mechanic Daniele for the work, Matteo, Zanchi, all the team, because yeah, I didn't expect this, especially on this time, but it's okay.
Coming here for the opener of the IAME Euro Series as the reigning champion in the class, competing on home soil in front of your peers, that must be a special feeling.
Yes, sure, it's not easy to be the champion and try to repeat, but I will try. I'm just happy for the last year. The target is normal, it's to win the championship, and we will see.
Fantastic, best of luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Good to chat to Danny Caronini there. Yes, no, he's bang on the money there. It is hard work being, you know, a champion because it puts a target on your head. Everyone thinking, right, he's the driver we have to beat on this one. But he's showcased some good pace so far this weekend. Like you say, going fastest in his group earlier on, second overall, and coming away with a P2 earlier on in today's racing after a win yesterday. So again, some very strong performance. This time, though, he doesn't have his fellow Italian teammate alongside him. He will have Clovis Nougarade on the CRG alongside him. There you can see them lining up on the front row as the whistle blows and they make their way out onto the circuit. It is time for the 3rd round of qualifying heats then for the senior category, with just 2 more rounds to go later after the lunch break. It's Danny Caronini and Clovis Nougarade on row number 1. Florent Panet and Matthias van der Kerkhoff go from row number 2. Samuel Ifrid and Rocco Caricio on row 3. They'll have Luca Horton and Zach Green on row 4. Kevin Antinga, race winner from earlier on today from the Netherlands, starts this one on the 5th row of the grid. They'll have Spain's Nikita Nikashov alongside. Henk Vuk and Milan Marzak go from row number 6. Christian Biasati and Alberto Hurtado go from row 7. Meryl Peldis and Diego Gama round out row number 8.
On row number 9, we have Simeon Catolla and Rafael Bourlar, followed by Elo Gonzalez and Marcus Glum on row number 10. Row number 11, we do have Rick Nadine and Kevin Roduy, Adria Mustianes and Mariano Alatorre, row number 12. Row number 13, Rory O'Connor and Luca Mann. Row number 14, Jaimes Merkelbach, Victor Agerter by his side, and at the back end, Alejandro Suarez Jimenez. Gabriel Volpe was supposed to be here with us, unfortunately not taking part in the opener of the IAME Euro Series. A total of 29 drivers once again with us, 11 laps to go through. Look at the standing water that we have in the middle of that grass. This is where you don't want to put your wheels, otherwise, well, that's a race done and dusted for good. As the driver is still facing a little bit of pouring rain by the look of it. And look at the spray that is being spread around as they come across. 2 laps to get those tires up to temperature as much as you can, obviously. But look at the rain radar. We are just beneath a huge cloud of rain, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. It's passing through very slowly. We might expect some improvement coming later this afternoon.
Here we go then, into the tram lines. Are we going? No, it's another lap. They're going around again. And yeah, they were formed up very early there. Now, did they have their 2 formation laps there, or did they only have the 1? Ah, that's not gone too well. I'll cut back to that question later on, because that is Rory O'Connor, the Irishman, unfortunately. I think he's out of this race. Yeah, as soon as you get marshal assistance, that's it. You're done and dusted. And that is a very unfortunate one for the Irishman. He was due to start this one, P25. Right, yeah, like you say, these drivers heading around to hopefully get a start this time around. You bang on in what you're saying there with the weather conditions, but I think you just have to call it this one a day and just say it's wet all the way throughout. I don't think it's going to improve throughout the course of this one, and yeah, that's a big shame. There you can see a lot of the drivers for the next race are lined up on the gantry there. They're watching along and seeing what's going to be happening out here, maybe to see if they can maybe learn a thing or two, assess the situation of what's happening at the start of this one, because they've got a big bowl section there that they can watch. They can see turn 11, 12, 13,
right
14, turn 8. Yeah, they've got a good view from that positioning, which is why it's where the mechanics stand as well. Here we go then, into the final couple of corners. Danny Carinini on the left, Clovis Nougarade on the right. As you look at them, as they will get themselves sorted out into the tram lines. Here we go then. Are the lights going out? Yes, they are. We are racing down the inside, and Clovis Nougarade slots into third place. But look at this. Florent Panet is going to go for the race lead down the inside of Danny Carinini, and Carinini's going to get not swamped by the pack, but he's down into second place as he tries to fight back into the race lead, and he has successfully done that. So that's a good start for him. Ubic Racing, Samuel Ifrit has also, again, had another good start. He's there into P4.
Big contact.
Yeah, indeed. There's carts off at turn number 5. But the race at the front continuing. Oh, there's actually quite a few of them there off at turn number 5. Who have we got there? Right, so the XL Motorsport, Luca Horton's apparently had a moment out there. The DFK Racing team, Milan Marzak's had a moment. RSD's Marcus Gloomy had a great race earlier on. He's had a moment now. And then Kevin Radu as well, also out of the race. Well, he's not out, but he's rejoined now, but right at the back. So race continuing here. But Guillaume, that's probably the shakiest start we've seen so far, as the Ubic Racing team and the CRG cut there making a slight bit of contact, and nearly for Samuel Ifrid and for Clovis Nougarade, that could have ended a lot worse than it did. It's Carinini from Panes, Nougarade from Ifrid, Van der Kerkhoff from Lantinga, rounding out the top 6, and once again Lantinga 3 places gained, having another good start.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on the Dutchman progression through the field, but look at the visibility, how it has been diminishing over the last couple of minutes for those drivers. This will be no easy task, and as we've seen, indeed, Samuel Ifrid currently in 4th position at the wheel of that Ubic Racing machine. He actually came close to lose a little bit of control, clipping that curb. He's still very much into that race, under the pressure from Matthias van der Kerkhove. The UK machine from Victory Lane just behind. Lantinga claiming 3 places up to P6 from Zach Green, Nikishov, Biazatti, and Curcio. As just in front of Ifrid is Clément Nougarade, Clovis Nougarade, shall I say, last year's IAME Euro Series, IAME Series winner in France. Nougarade at the wheel of his new CRG machine, as we said. The newly signed driver for the factory, for the Italian factory, for the few months to come, under the pressure of Ifrid. In the meantime, Carinini 1.8 seconds in front of Florent Panes, up into 1st and 2nd. This is a battle for P3. We keep on following through. Danny Carinini, the fastest lap in the race. Once again, strong skills and strong demonstration of intention and pace from Danny Carinini. 1 win, a 2nd place. Another win would put him quite a distance of Matthias van der Kerkhove and Kevin Lantinga as the current and strong leader of that category so far. That remains to be seen if he will be able to see the checkered flag in one piece. Marcus Gloomy, in the meantime, the fastest lap in the race. It's almost as, with some of the angles of the cameras, look at the spray, look at the visibility. We might actually struggle a little bit on some parts of the track to determine who is who, actually.
Oh, we might have to. So pays to have a nice big bright helmet out there, I can imagine. Right, here we go. Big bow to curb there for Kevin Lantinga. You can see again that car looks so squirrely and out of control, yet seems to be the fastest thing out there right now, because like you say, he's in P4. He is going to be going for P3 later on, and there you can see it straight down the inside. It's glued to the circuit there in these wet conditions. They have nailed that wet setup this weekend, and Kevin Lantinga is just dancing through this field right now, driving past Ifrid there like he was standing still. Green has also closed in. Green's had a relatively good start as well. 3 places he's gained. He's right there in P5. So Samuel Ifrid now is on the back foot as Green Goes down the inside at turn number 8, runs a little wide.
Yeah.
Can he get the power down on the exit? Of course he can, and he's back through. Zach Green now holding on to P4.
Yeah, that was an impressive demonstration there by Zach Green. Not only did he go a little bit wide after missing the brakes, so to speak, with those slippery conditions, but he managed to get the momentum going and shut that door on Ifrit on the outside. So that's how you secure that 4th place at the moment. Still provisional results. We're about to conclude lap number 4 out of 11 here in Cremona. If you're joining us just right now live on the IAME Euro Series stream on YouTube, Facebook and Motorsport TV, you might be wondering, well, it's not supposed to be sunny here in northern Italy. Well, it can rain sometimes in this beautiful part of the world. It's been raining for the past few days as well, and we are at the moment just in the middle of some pouring rain above our heads here on the Italian track. Certainly putting the life of those drivers into more difficulties.
Dramas at the back of the field. Some drivers just dipping a wheel off the track and going for small spins. Last year, we had so much rain at rounds. We were thinking, if we have been cursed here, I feel that curse has still come over here as we're seeing some fantastic little scraps here. Cruccio there, Clovis Nougarade in that fight. He's dropped down to like 10th place now. Catulla is there. Henk Vuk also involved in this battle. They're battling around like in that top of the teens in the order. But they are still having a very strong race indeed. Samuel Ifrid there still in control of his position in P5, but he has got Christian Biasati on the charge just behind him, who is up 7 places in this race, currently rotating in P6. There he is on your screen in the TB Kart Racing team colours as he pushes his way through. What are you oohing there?
Yeah, sorry, it was a brief moment, but just on the outside of turn 3 and 4, the battle is raging between the 232 and Zach Green. So Kevin Antinga and Zach Green, and just as I was looking at our screen and looking outside of the track, they almost touched actually on the outside of turn number 4, the little right-hander, and Lantinga came close to really lose it all completely. As in the meantime, yeah, Ifrit just made his way past on the Biasati for P6. But yes, indeed, confirmation that the Ubik Racing driver is in front of the TB car representative.
And this is Lantinga and Panes as well. That's the battle for 2nd place. That's now changed once more. So Kevin Lantinga into P2 now. So that move has just happened. However, he has now got to try and find 6 seconds over the course of the next 3.5, 4 laps out there. Can it be done?
Yeah, can it be done? That's the question. Let's see that again. And these are the 2 drivers I just saw from the corner of my eye.
I love it. That car just looks so solid out there. Yes, okay, the back stepping out and all this, but when he turns it, it reacts and it does it. Like I say, they've got that nailed. That's
what you expect from a machine at this level in those conditions. And once you get that down, well, you can do pretty much everything you like. And look at the beautiful demonstration of skills, dancing into the breaking point in turn number 8 for Danny Caronini. Kevin Antinga 5.5 seconds down in 2nd place. We're here on board with Ifrid in P5 being chased by Biasati. Van de Kerkhove all the way down to P7 from Nikishov, Roublard and Ketola, your current top 10. A couple of climbers, Rick Nadine, 8 places gained up to P13. And as I said that, he's been chased and overtaken by Adrian Mustienes up to P13 and 10 places gained, as well as 9 places up into the classification for Rafael Bourla up into P9. But now the question is, who will be able to hold on its position until the checkered flag? Because at the moment, Ifrid is having quite a bit of a hard time under the pressure of Biasati just behind. Kevin Lantinga the fastest in the race, but look at the cap he has on Danny Caronini. Even with all the pace in the world and all the rain in the world, I'm not too sure he will be able to decrease a 5-second lap for the remaining time that we have in this race. Zach Green, in the meantime, just made his way past Panes for P3.
Yeah, indeed, so that battle raging on as well. And let's say Green up into 3rd place now, pushing his way along pretty nicely, I would say, out there. You can see the Cremona circuit there, the backdrop there through the course. the big circuit that's had some vast improvements over the years, grandstands going in, new track layouts, new tarmac going down as well, new entrance into the paddock as well. They've hosted a smattering of events, of course, with the superbikes going there as well. All the meanwhile, we still race in the same paddock. We share the same paddock here for the Cremona karting circuit, so it's all nice and snug. We all get on with some bike racing and some karting on at the same time. Here we go then, lap number 9, keeping an eye on this Ifrit Biasati battle. The Ubik team versus TB Karts. The Ubik team, we've not seen them before in the IAME Euro Series paddock, I don't believe. I think this is their first time racing in the Euro Series. They raced in the Benelux Series, I believe.
I have to say I'm not too familiar either with those colors and teams, so it's always good to have, like, you know, refreshing drivers and names and colors as well in the pack. But that's what the IAME Euro Series is all about, you know, extending the fields, welcoming new competitors, and you know, having new names ready to shake up the order. Of course, we do have the contenders, we do have the usual suspect, so to speak, in all classes, competing since many seasons as part of this competition. But once in a while come along a new competitor, come along a new team, or someone deciding to get involved into the racing, and that's all for the better for the sake of competition. Lap 10 out of 11, ladies and gents, 4.3 seconds between Daniele Caronini and Kevin Lantinga. Caronini on his way to a victory number 2 into the qualifying heat, securing, if it stays like that, his spot as the classification leader of the senior category. Lantinga second, Zach Green, Hannes Ifrit on your picture, under the pressure still of the young Italian Christian Biasati from TB Kart. Biasati, who climbed 7 places to find himself in that spot, but where can he make a difference? Turn number 8 could be an option, but in those conditions, with that braking point very late, it's something you don't want to risk, clipping the curb and find yourself under the pressure of someone else. He has a bit of a space, Biasati way behind, and that's another attempt into that turn number 11 and 12, the last sector of the track, kicking back the throttle, the double right-hander. Certainly, I do wonder if those drivers in that particular sector of the track would dare to go at full throttle on the outside of the curb. They would do it in dry conditions. Under the rain, I'm not too sure.
No, I'm not too sure either. Here we go then. Danny Caronini, race leader. That gap has come down as we are on the last lap of this race. You can also see there a warning flag going out to Merrill Peldis, unfortunately. But for Danny Caronini, the gap 2.7 seconds. It has come down a little bit. Kevin Lantinga, another fabulous race for him, now putting himself second in the intermediate classification points. But of course, there are still 2 more senior races to go before the lunch break to round out their 3rd round of qualifying heats this weekend. And for Danny Caronini, well, this is a nice start for him. That is now going to be 2 race wins and a 2nd place he will add to his name. He leads the intermediate classifications, but what will happen later on in the races, we just don't know. Checker flag is out, and Italy on home soil takes the number 1 spot. Danny Caronini ahead of Kevin Lantinga, Zach Green from Florent Panet, Samuel Ifrit from Christian Biasati, Mateusz van der Kerkhoff from Nikita Nikashov, Simeon Katola from Rafael Bollard crossing the line, and they round out the top 10 some 20 seconds further down the road. Relatively spread out there, Guillaume, but for the front runners, can't control race. But I've got to say, if I was any other driver, the driver I'd be worried about the most in this one is Kevin Lantinga.
Yeah, he's been showing some strong pace, that's for sure. You know, pace, confidence, and really consistency into those conditions. We had seen him climbing through the ranks before. Another 7 laps, 7 positions in the back for Kevin Lantinga, up to P2. Had he made a better qualifying, well, that could have been an entirely different story, because let's not forget that all those drivers, the conditions staying the same, we shall see about that, have a limited amount of wet tires to go through the weekend, same as for the slicks. So the more you push into those tires, well, the faster they will degrade. That means that the performance might take actually a little bit into that. Danny Caronini, your leader of the classification in the senior class, 2 wins and a 2nd place for the Italian. The reigning champion of the actually is front-faring and Nassau panel not in the ideal position. Nogueira would, in the end, finish all the way down to P11. So again, not the race he had been expecting, the young Frenchman. As in the meantime, taking advantage on the inside, or at least trying to, was the 3:15 of Samuel Ifrid against one of the typical driver, as well as Zach Green. That was the British driver making his bid for P3 in the end.
Yeah, he certainly did. Some good moves happening thick and fast. The same from this man here, Kevin Lantinga, getting past the likes of Florent Panez, who did drop down only one place at the end of that one, because later on Zach Green would get that move done. Then we watched the ever-longing battle between Samuel Ifrid and Christian Biasate, but they would stay in position as Danny Caronini would take his second win of the weekend across the line here in Cremona. 2 more races to go before the lunch break. That is Groups B and F done for Senior X30. We will see Groups C and E coming out next for their 11-lap, 13.5 kilometre race distance. And this one will have the All-British front row of Sam Woolley and Harrison Mackie as well on that front row. Good results for them earlier on. Mackie with the 94 points. Again, not a solid performance for him, but a very good, strong day he's had.
Definitely so for Sam Woolley, who will be on the forefront of the grid. The pole position for the young British driver, who was the third fastest driver in the qualifying practice yesterday. Sam Woolley, who put out the fastest lap in group number 2. Wasn't enough, though, to prevent Max Radek to become the overall pole sitter, and Danny Caronini, so to get back on qualifying yesterday, managed to be even faster in the closing group of that qualifying session, split into 4 phases. That was for yesterday. Now it all comes down to the racing, and Harrison Mackie has had a win in under his name already, with one win yesterday. As we'll see what it comes out of that qualifying heat for Harrison Mackie on British driver. Clément Outron and Alex Pinera will be sharing row number 2 of that grid. A couple of other interesting names into that classification to keep an eye on as well, as Otto Pikkonen, the Finnish driver, will be 13 onto that grid. Marlon Bayer by his side on that row number 7. Couple of drivers as well at the back end who didn't have the best of qualifying effort. Luna Claret is one of them from the Pantano Racing team. She will be only 23rd on the grid, but managed to climb a couple of positions in her first race earlier today and yesterday. But Clément Outron will be one to watch. He has won already one win, one race today. The new driver of the Dream Racing team. He will be on the inside of the grid coming to turn number 1, which in those conditions is always slightly better. That could actually give you a slight advantage coming to that specific turn of the track. But we've seen other drivers going the long way around and finding a bit of extra grip into those spreading areas.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, a little bit of a wait before this race heads out on to the circuit. This one due to start at 12:30, which is around a minute or so time. And we'll see in a few moments that I'm sure that yellow light will start flashing at the front. Still a tense moment for the field there. You can see right at the back of the field there, new addition into 2025 for the first time this weekend. We see the likes of Rirasak Ianvichan from Thailand, who is racing alongside with fellow family members here. The Ianvichan team running with the Kiddix team on the Kart Republic's chassis. We're going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with the second round of qualifying heats very, very soon for the seniors.
it makes life a lot easier out the track, so you don't have to worry about school and on-track performance and grades and all that sort of stuff.
The school understands exactly what I'm doing. They understand, how important it is for me, and the schedule that they, cater for me is really well balanced, and I really enjoy it.
It's a very fine balance between his sporting career and also his studies. He doesn't have to compromise on either. I'm very happy that Minerva has supported us through this journey.
The communication is great, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think MVA would help a lot of other races. A lot of people come into the track and asking about it. What do you do for homeschool? Like, how does it work? And I always say, Minerva, you need to
today. There are your front three rows of the grid, like you're saying, row 3 being Aaron Garcia and Harold Matteson of Norway. Then row number 4, you see Yannis Boulier and Isaac Say of Singapore. Row 5 is Mattis Moschaltz and Roxanne Lantinga. Ellis Laman and Morgan Moore go from row number 6. Otto Pukkanen and Marlon Bayer round out row 7. They'll have Julian Burtbacher and Ialari Pispanen on row number 8.
And we have on row number 9, Kevin Baker and Niklas Hirsch. Row number 10, we have Thomas Van Vliet and Sam van der Reyden, followed on row number 11 by Oscar Cuccio and Luis Mas. At the back end of the grid on row number 12, Luna Claret and Patrice Ogrodovic. And we have Pietro Gorecki and Timo Rupen on row number 13, followed by Keanu Wellens and Daniel Brice, Jonathan Landström and Werazak Wemikan running up the top 30. 30 on our screen, 30 on track as well. We do have everybody on board. 2 laps to get yourself into shape, to get the tires up to temperature as well. And looking outside of a window, yes, still slightly pouring rain. Not even pouring vertically, but slightly on the side as well. So we've had all sorts of conditions so far here in Cremona. Nothing that those drivers will be afraid of, that's for sure, as we've seen strong skill demonstrations all the way from the mini to the seniors. And we might see some of the, once again, through those 11 laps. Sam Worley, Harrison Mackie, 1 win yesterday for the British driver from Fusion Motorsport. Not quite yet for the driver that will be starting on pole position. Clément Autran, 1 win to his name as well. And some of the drivers further back into the grid that would like to get their names onto those, on top of those classification sheets towards the end of those races. Let's see what Roxanne Lantinga can do as well. She's a sister of Kevin Lantinga, the 2 competing for cross promotion. Roxanne Lantinga, who won last year's Ladies' Cup at Le Mans as part of the Euro Cup IAME event in France. So the progress has been there over the years for Roxanne Lantinga, competing at the forefront of the senior category.
Now that is a chain guard I think I saw flew off, or something, or an airbox maybe just flew off a kart. Now I'm trying to think who that came off, because there was a huge thing. I think it may be the 205. Has he lost his airbox? No, that's still there. Maybe it was the MDC, the 225. Is that missing its airbox? It's no, that looks like it's there as well. I definitely saw something fling off, and yeah, you can see a marshal's running to it
yes,
now.
Indeed, yeah.
Is that an airbox cover? I think it might be a rain cover. Yes, it is. It's a cover for an airbox, so the airbox is still attached, but it's missing it. We are green and racing, and in towards turn number 1, Sam Woolley is holding on to his lead here. It's nicely done for him. He's got the likes of the rest on the outside. The Dream Racing, Clément Autran trying to get through as they all file in towards turn number 3. That is nicely done, but one driver rotating at the back there.
There's a 350 that find himself. Roxanne Lantinga, just mentioning her progress and pace into this condition. Unfortunately, the 318 into difficulties as well. And another driver into the grass against the wall. It was Oscar Goccio, as well as Timo Rupen, by the look of it, from LKM Racing from Switzerland. A couple of drivers into trouble into those opening few corners of that opening lap. There's 11 to go through. As in the meantime, your current leader, Sam Worley, Harrison Mackie, who just dropped, Mackie dropped all the way down to P3 by the look of it, with Sam Worley able to hold on to that position. And look who made his way past. That was Aaron Garcia by the look of it, or Alex Pinheiro. I might need to look at that again as they come across in front of opposition in second place. It was indeed Clément Autran and Aaron Garcia indeed. So it was Clément Autran, my apologies, who made his way past up into the lead, taking Aaron Garcia with him. Mackie down to P3. And where is Sam Woolley? All the way down to P5 with Yannis Bouye in between.
So I want to cut back to Aaron Garcia in the 225. Now, I'm pretty sure it came off his kart, the cover of the airbox. Now, that might still cause problems. That cover is there, obviously, in these wet conditions for a reason. It stops a lot of water getting into the intakes, everything like that. And then that water, of course, then goes into the engine. And you don't want that because water in an engine from bad compression, yes, it's not good. Not good. So, yeah, that cover being off, that might actually be a bigger problem than he thinks. So we'll keep a very close eye on that one. But I definitely think it came off his kart there. But we'll have to wait and see if they've got a replay of that or not to see. But very dramatic opening couple of laps then for some drivers. And for Clement Outron in the lead of this race now, he's in a very strong position. He was very quick earlier on, looking quick again, and now he's got a gap of 1.3 seconds to himself and Aaron Garcia. Mackie into third place here. He's wanting to fight back. He took a win yesterday, did Mackie. Good results earlier on as well. But there in third place, he's just trying to suss his way around this lap as Clement Outron setting these fastest laps of the race again. Here, Guillaume, that pace for the Frenchman is very, very strong with that brand new team.
Yeah, he took advantage of that P3 on the inside line of the grid coming to turn number 1, and he just really made it stick beautifully. And not only did he put himself in the lead, but managed in one lap to build himself an impressive gap. So yeah, the pace is definitely there in the rain for Clement Outron and the Dream Racing team from France. So let's see if that full French package will be able to keep going at that pace, at that rate, towards stronger opposition. But it's looking like that very much. Let's watch that back, shall we?
Okay,
Here's
so
the look back on.
Yeah, I think, where's it? Oh, no, no. So 289. So that's who it came off
That
then.
was Alex Piñera, the Spaniard, who's currently P10 at the moment.
Ah, right, okay. So, yeah, so clearly he didn't like it. It was there, he threw it away, and it was just like, no, it's loose, go away.
Yeah, it was getting in the way of his knee or something.
But, no, clearly, okay, well, keep an eye on that one then. Alex Piñera, like you say, currently rotating around now P11 out there. Clement Outron continuing to set fastest lap after fastest lap. He's just loving these conditions right here now, Guillaume, just breaking away. The gap not extending too much because the pace is staying roughly similar to everyone else. Mackie still in third place, Garcia still in P2. Meerschaut's having a good race, 5 places gained. Yannis Bouye is following suit as well, 2 places gained. Matheson rounding out the top 6. Any big movers further down? Yeah, Keanu Wellens, 11 places gained now, is into P16 and has had a very strong start to the race here as we're on lap 4. We'll be ending lap 4 in a moment, but here is your race leader. Just watching him as well, nice and close. You see the clear visor there, you see the whites of his eyes going through, the concentration levels you can go through on this one. There you can see how committed he is onto the inside, but taking that outer line. Garcia taking the inside line, as here is a nice close moment. Mathis Meerschaut has closed in on Mackie, and Mackie's going to have to concede it. He gets squeezed onto the grass on the exit, but he holds its nerve and keeps it on the straight and narrow. Mackie now down to P4. Mathis Meerschaut's now with 6 places gained, up into third place. Oh no, Mackie's going to fight back here though. He's thought, okay, you may have got the job done there. I'm going to try and squeeze it back down the inside as they heading towards turn number 8. Have they changed places again? Answer's no. They stay behind, but Mathis Meerschaut now looks, I say looks right now, like he's got this one done, but I'm sure Mackie is probably thinking completely the opposite and thinking, I want this place back.
Yeah, certainly the spirit to go into those conditions. Harrison Mackie having none of it and trying to stay within reach of Mathis Meerschaut in order to switch those positions at some point. But always easier said than done as we keep an eye on the 245 from Haas Racing Team. Bispanen and the press of Pikkonen with Mattison just in front. Their drivers currently between 6 and 8 positions. Around the inside goes the 226 of Otto Pikkonen from TB Kart, climbing 5 places, trying to fight his way through that field. Just in front at the wheel of that Charles Leclerc machine is Mattison, 337, competing this weekend for Monlo Motorsport from Spain. Very interesting games, buttoning along into that field halfway through that 11-lap qualifying heat. This will be the penultimate one for the senior in this rotation, 3rd rotation out of 5. We're going to have one more after this, and then We'll take a well-deserved lunch break for everybody here, but there will be plenty of more racing this afternoon, as always on the same channels. As the 225, well, very logically, the 225, the Spaniard is being presented with a mechanical flag, and Alex Pinera Rossignol as he just got the message and dropped all the way down the order. I think he might make his way back to the back.
No, that's Aaron Garcia in second place, the 225.
Oh, my
so
apologies.
that's not Alex Pinera, who we saw the airbox cover coming off.
That's 289.
That
yeah,
is
sorry about
second place. Now, oh, it's the side pod. It's the side pod has come off Aaron Garcia. I saw it out the commentary box window. Second place, only as, well, half a cart, as far as I'm concerned there. It's completely missing. I don't know where that's come off or how that's come off. But yes, that's very, very interesting. So that is, unfortunately, Aaron Garcia's race over. And that is such a shame, rolling around in second place.
Yeah, definitely so. And certainly a race didn't go not going the way of Spanish drivers, that's for sure. Because after the trouble for Alex Pinera, now it goes the way of Aaron Garcia. Look at that on the left side of the MDC driver there in second place. The other side of that one.
This camera angle will show it. There we goes. And it looks like it's straight out of the 50s. There it is. Now, is this a replay of where it came off at turn number 2? Oh, the curb. That very rough curb on the exit of turn number 2. And, oh, Mackie gave it a good kick as well. Well, that cleared it off the track, so good work, Mackie. If racing doesn't work out, marshalling is for you, clearing the circuit of debris there. But, yeah, clearly, for Aaron Garcia, that is not what you want to see. And he needs to be careful now, because if he ignores that, he might get in a spot of bother with the officials. You need to come in at least after, I think, 3 laps, any more than that, and then you see a black flag and your race is definitely over.
Yeah, something you won't want to do, obviously, because, yeah, second place out in the bin. That's a very unfortunate, and that's something he cannot not see, basically, because he must have felt that side pod going away. He can see it from the side of his leg, and there you can see him. He's backing off a little bit, or still fighting against Matthias Merschout, diving through the inside in the last sector, taking P2. And at some point, Aaron Garcia is going to have to dive back into the pit, which is something he's not doing at the moment. He keeps on going. Aaron Garcia.
I don't think he knows his side pod's missing. Of course, he's looking forward. He wouldn't have noticed that coming off, and yeah, he's just throwing his hands up. Yeah, saying, "Why am I being called in?" And yeah, just take a look down on your left-hand side there, Aaron. You will note a big piece of bodywork missing. So I think he's aware now, and I think he'll make it in, which is good because that was just in the nick of time. Otherwise, he could have been in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, definitely so. And as you said, it has a very 60s, 70s look to it before the side pod and the front fairing became a thing in the early 90s and 2000. But I think we saw him raise his hand quite quickly, which means that he agrees apparently to come back into the pits. Yes, he just made his way. You can see him on the back of that picture there. He just made his way back to the Parc Fermé. He had 3 laps to do so. Otherwise, there would have been a red flag, black flag, shall I say. And Aaron Garcia losing, unfortunately, a second place, something you don't want to see, unfortunately, for him. That's really bad luck, because it seems to me that we could have thought for a moment that it was a result of a contact, but as you've seen with the replay, it was the fixing part of that side pod that just went missing somehow, and he just lost it onto the curb on the external part of turn number 3.
Here we go. This is Iri Pispanen looking for a move down the inside. This is Finland's Haas Racing Team's driver trying to go for the move on Yannis Boulier, but he gets that move done. And, well, Yannis Boulier has to try and fight this one back, but no, he's not going to get it. So Ilari Pispanen now in control of that position and moves up now 12 places into P4 on his hunt down towards Harrison Mackie. A very strong performance from the Finnish driver. We'll keep an eye on his progression over the course of this weekend because he's had some relatively decent races over this one. I've seen his name sneak up that order after not a great qualifying, but these qualifying heats, he's certainly delivered some good results.
Yeah, definitely. 7 places gained once again up to those upper echelons. But in the meantime, another one who's showing some great pace and determination on this part is Cremona entering the last lap for the Dream Racing driver. And 2.2 seconds on Matthias Merschout at this point for Merschout. after trouble he went through to get himself into P2 against the quite unfortunate Aaron Garcia. It's about keeping that second place, and that will do him good. And as you can see in the professional classification, that victory, that will be the second, will put him second place as well in the classification, behind Danny Caronini, but in front of Harrison Mackie.
Indeed, and of course that's only the second race in the third rotation, which means we've got another race to go, which means, yes, it all changes up just that little bit more as well. But for Clément Outron, no dramas for him. He will take it to the line here, only a couple of corners to go, cleared by 2 full seconds from the rest of the field. The whole drivers there have done a brilliant job, but this man here seems to be a little bit of a rainmaster here, breaking away, and we've seen it from others as well. To the line they'll go. Clément Outron takes a race win, another one for him, putting him second in the points. That is exactly what he needed ahead of Matis Machaut's. Harrison Mackie puts himself third in the intermediate classification with one more race to go before the lunch break ahead of Ilari Pispanen. Brilliant race there. 12 places gained to finish in P4 from Yannis Pouliot. Harold Madsen finishing in 6th place from Otto Pukkanen. And it's Marlon Beyer from Sam van der Heijden, who gained 11 places to finish in P9. Roxanne Lantinga secures 10th place. We saw that early spin, recovered back to P10. A strong performance there ahead of Sam Woolley, the pole sitter, the third fastest driver in qualifying. Seems to be struggling today in these wet conditions.
Yeah, we lost sight of him actually quite quickly into that race, and here's the reason: falling down to P11, followed by Isaac Sea, Niklas Hirsch, Julian Bruckbacher, Morgan Moore in P15, and on the other side of the classification, Daniel Breeze, Thomas Van Vliet, as well as Oscar Guccio, Kevin Baker, Elia Lehmann, Jonathan Enström, Luna Claret, Keanu Wellens, Luis Mar, Piotr Goretti, Patrice Ogrodovich, Alex Pinheiro, the unfortunate driver who's lost the cover that we've seen, the black cover in the early stages of that race, all the way down to 27. Certainly something going definitely wrong with his material in front of Warazak Wekeman, and 2 drivers missing out on the finish, Timio Rupen and the very unlucky Aaron Garcia losing his side pod. Let's see how things unfolded with a replay. At the start, pretty good getaway for Sam Woolley from pole position. Harrison Mackie going around the outside, switching positions on the way to the hairpin. A couple of drivers. Roxanne Antiga, first of all, going sideways into a spin.
Yeah, curb on the inside, just unsettled it. Round she would go, but like I say, great recovery drive. That was a very broken cut. It's a broken track rod there for one. I think that was Timio Rupen on the 275 for the LKM Racing team, and yeah, his race very quickly over. Such a fragile piece of equipment is a track rod. There was the moment that Mackie got squeezed past there by Matis Machaut. Machaut's up into second place with that overtake. Brilliant bit of racing between those two, very, very close indeed.
And on that overtaking, we had seen actually the sidepod of Aaron Garcia. As you can see him now, he's losing it, but on the lap before, it was already shaking quite badly on that curb. So that means that could be the result, potentially, of a contact in the opening lap against someone else. That's a theory. We haven't seen it, but it wasn't a result of something unexpected, because he had been shaking for the last 2 laps before he actually lost it onto that curb. And with that, what could have been a very strong result into second place. Matthias Mascot making his way past for that second position, while further back the 2:45 from Haas Racing, Jari Pispanen would make his way past Yanni Bouillet for P4, and that would be the result of a strong race for Ila Pispanen, climbing 12 places and fighting his way through on the inside of that turn number 3 and 4 to secure that P4 finish. Far behind the winner for the second time today, Clément Outron and the Dream Racing, picking up another qualifying heat win in strong manner from Mathis Mascot and Harrison Mackie in P3.
Yes, indeed. Well, one more senior race to go then before the lunch break. We're nearly halfway through the day at this moment. It is time for qualifying heat A versus D that'll be heading out for their 11-lap race. And this one will have, of course, the outright pole sitter from qualifying. Max Radek on the front row for this one, as the rain seems to have stopped again now, but it's done its work, the track soaking wet. There is Max Radek, great qualifying for him. The Portuguese driver really delivering a strong performance in that qualifying for the Victory Lane karting team. He'll be starting this one alongside Riccardo Ferrari on the front row of the grid. And but like I say, his work in qualifying in the dry conditions has not transpired over into the wet conditions. He's had a little bit of struggle. He's not dropped back, but he's always been inside the top 5, but not taken a qualifying heat win just yet.
His time might be coming, and this could be another occasion before the last 2 rounds of qualifying heat this afternoon. Just before lunchtime, can Max Radek pick up his first win of the weekend? He had managed overall pole position in the opening group of qualifying yesterday, and wasn't beaten afterwards. Max Radek from Portugal, representing the Victory Lane at the wheel of his Car Republic machine. And as you can see, the yellow flag is flashing at the top of the grid, meaning that we only have a few seconds left before the whistle will be blown, and the driver is allowed onto the track for the 2 formation lap to get a little bit of temperature into those MG tires. By the look of it, no one, and that's way too early, is daring to go for any other option than the wet tires, and that's very much
completely understandable on that one.
Choice. Yeah,
it's
indeed.
very wet.
We've seen gambles in the past,
we would
sometimes
gamble
paying
that
off or not paying off at all. And at this point, it's fair to say that that would be way too much of a gamble to try to go for option B.
Yeah, no, I don't even think that's a gamble. Why would you do that? Why would you put slicks on now?
That's a societal gamble.
It's just an insane gamble. There we go then, engines firing up, the driver's heading out onto the circuit. Let's quickly fire you through that full starting lineup. Max Radek and Riccardo Ferrari on row number 1. Andy Britell and Aaron Cavillo go from row 2. Johan Aluja and Gus Lawrence, they will round out row number 3. Remember, Gus Lawrence, the winner of the Open Games on this one last weekend. What can he do on this one? Andrea Bariberi and Max Starakov go from row number 4. They'll have Denan De Vos and Mark Lepiccolo on row number 5. Godric Nilsson and Mark Granado rounds out the top 12. They go from row number 6. Lewis Bird and Oscar Opetto go from row 7. Philip Svensson and Kian Garrity on row number 8. Then you have Evgeny Yaskov and Nicholas Simic, who rounds out row number 9.
Row number 10, we have Luca Montebello and Maxime Blanchemain, the Belgian and the Frenchman on row number 10. Row number 11, Maxime Prudhomme and Alexis Gendelet, followed by Mohamed Maimene and Ruben Moya on row number 12. Row number 13, Marcel Matiovic and Morgan Knudsen, Warapong Wemichan and Nawin Natifon on row number 14, followed by Michal Koreki, Sofia Duvivier-Disage and Bertram Satch at the back end of the grid on row number 16. A total of 31 competitors, and watch out for Bertram Satch. We've seen him before, part of the Falcon Racing team at the wheel of that newly homologated Enzacard chassis that has really proved wonders for at the wheel, with Bertram Satch at the wheel in his previous race, climbing something about 20 positions if I can recall correctly, and the rest, yeah. So definitely very strong showing for Bertrand Satch in his earlier race. Can he do that again? You can see him with that orange livery from Enzacard, one of the new homologated chassis, along with a lot of new parts for the next 3 years of homologation cycle that we get to see here competing in Cremona.
Yes, indeed. Well, drivers making their way round into that final sector. They're slowing them down now, as we're hopefully going to go for a race up first time of asking. However, the field very spread out here. The front are heading in towards turn at number 12. The back of the grid is heading around turn number 8 currently. So the front really needs to bring it back here. But I can understand them trying to get some temperature into those tyres. Max Radek and Riccardo Ferrari on this front row. We've seen constantly that inside row working out here at the start of these races. So expect Radek, Rattel and Johan Aluja to get the run in towards turn at number 1. But let's see what Riccardo Ferrari can do as he's backing it up. He's got Aaron Cavillo all over his rear bumper there as they get into the tram lines. Here we go then, smoke clears. Here comes the spray. We are racing, and that inside line does work out wonders. And round the outside there, is that a brilliant start. Andy Rattel trying to push his way through, but the other Zanchi Motorsport there of Riccardo Ferrari still trying to hold on nicely. But look at this, it's the Pantano kart pushing its way, Andy Rattel into the lead.
And a couple of drivers going way too wide into turn number 3 at the back end of the grid. We'll get back to that. Other than that, it's a clean getaway for pretty much everybody apart from the 216 at the back end. We'll get back to that. That was Marc Granada, unfortunately the driver from Mall Racing, losing a pile of positions in those couple of few corners. But in the meantime, Riccardo Ferrari had a cracking getaway up into P1, letting the others fighting their way through and battling along into that opening lap. This is the last race of the first part of the day. The morning almost concluded before lunchtime, and stay with us, there will be more action and a lot more races coming into play this afternoon. And talking about Bertrand Satch, 26th place is the number to beat for the driver from Menza Kart, and the Falcon Racing team at the back end of the grid. Let's see if he can equal or even do better than that this time around. In the meantime, Andy Rattel, 1.5 seconds already. Talking about another driver who's really digging the rain as much as Clément Autran and the others that we've seen before. 1.5 seconds in the course of one lap. There's really no one beating Rattel in terms of pure pace in those conditions just yet. And Rademacher is quite busy, holding off to Haluha in third place with Lewis Bird and Kvyat just behind, not to be able to follow the Frenchman's pace.
No, exactly that. Breaking away nicely here with that gap now over 2 seconds. Keeping an eye on these fights here because Max Rannick again is going to be under pressure. Jona Lujan, Lewis Bird right there on the rear bumper. Cavillo is there as well. Barberia trying to close in also. He's up 1 place in P6. Michael Piccolo, Philip Svensson has had a really good start. 7 places gained in P8. They are all behind this battle here, as there you can see the Italian Andrea Barberi looking to the inside there over the start-finish line, not finding the legs this time around, as there Lewis Bird adopting the tighter inside line. But this time not working out for him and staying in position as Jona Luja continues to close in on Max Rannick in second place. The lead gap now another 3.3 tenths of a second. In sector 1 alone, 3 tenths of a second was gained by Andy Rattel at the front of this grid. This is exceptional pace he's got.
Yeah, qualifying pace that is very much for Andy Rattel. No one in front, no one behind. He is free to really unleash all of his power from himself and from his material. And another strong demonstration that the Pantano team has really put the finger on the right setup coming to this weekend. He told me, Andy Rattel, that last weekend for the open game that took place on that very track, the rain was with them for pretty much the entirety of the weekend, except for the finals day. So they got some time coming to this event to really get a proper grip of that track in those conditions. So that might explain why. In the meantime, the 286 picking up an investigation flag. We get to see who that is, as Lewis Bird, in the meantime, just made his way past Aluja for third place. There you can see the 217 from Great Britain, now ahead of the Spaniard driver.
Yeah, indeed. That tighter inside line there working out this time around for him. Drastically different racing lines, and again, hugging that inside curb, just pulling the kart through. In the background there, we were seeing the battles kicking off as well, and Barberia and Michael Piccolo fighting away as there is that battle. Michael Piccolo getting through. Hand gestures coming out there like a little thumbs up there, just saying, okay, let's keep going, let's push, let's try and close up to this battle. Let's not mess around a little bit here and lose out on time. And we have seen that a lot in the modern years of karting. You know, you get a driver who's breaking away at the front. You see drivers behind who have been, you know, in a really difficult situation. They start battling away for position. I hate to say this, is Bird's nose cone low again? I think it is. I saw it flopping a little bit up and down there. And is that because he's using the curbs on the inside, or is that purely from the start of the race? Not too sure, but I definitely think that may have dropped again.
Yeah, you could see different racing lines between himself and Rademacher just in front. Rademacher going quite wide onto the curb that Lewis Bird just avoided. So it doesn't have something to do with that, but by the look of it, yeah, it seems to me as well that his front steering is rather shaky and maybe not in the position he's supposed to be. We'll see about that. It's not uncommon in those conditions to have 5-second penalty due to contact, and those results will be made official as always on the IAME Euro Series official website, so feel free to check that out afterwards, as we will do. But halfway through almost this last qualifying heat of the morning, rotation, Rattel from 3 seconds, and here's a replay of the trouble hitting the 320 at the wheel of his Birelot machine.
That is Sophia de Vivier Desage, unfortunately, and the Birelot driver, unfortunately, dropping to the back of the grid into 31st place. Oh, not out. Now, oh, hold on. Where is Riccardo Ferrari? That snuck up on my screen just now. He's out of the race on my timing screen. Where has Riccardo Ferrari gone? We've completely missed that. He is nowhere to be seen, and that is a big, big problem for him, because that puts him completely out of the lead fight in the intermediate classifications. He's been off the track for 2 laps here, Guillaume, so something clearly has happened.
Yeah, I was trying to pick him up as well and to see where he could be, but he's nowhere to be seen on the track, at least from our position. So did he come back to the pit after some mechanical trouble? Did he make a mistake? That, yeah, that question needs an answer, because at some point, at this point, oh, is he... no, that's Andy Rattel coming in front of us, so my apologies. Sometimes you get switched between the new livery of the Pantano and the Zanchi, but as a result, Riccardo Ferrari is out of this race for good. I think he came back into the pit. That could be an explanation, but for what reason, as we were busy chatting and keeping an eye on all the drivers, well, he disappeared.
Yeah, well, we'll have to figure that one out during the lunch break as Andy Rattel continues to open up that gap. Eyes on this battle here. Max Radek having a really good race on this one. Again, he struggled earlier on with some of those races, dropping down to about P5 in the early stages. This time, he's held on to P2. He's in a really strong spot here now, is Max Radek, but he's in a compromising position because Mark LaPiccolo is now right behind Lewis Bird. He's got past Johan Aluja, and that battle is about to rage on. You can see it here. This is 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, all on your screen.
Now,
here
we might have an answer. Look at the front left. We might have an answer about what happened to... Yeah.
Is that him there? Yeah.
That might be him. That might be Riccardo Ferrari.
So that was on lap number 6, I believe, or maybe no, a little bit earlier on in that one. I'm not so sure. Yeah, went straight to the back. So clearly a moment for him. Not sure if he was assisted there or if he just drove off the road. That's a big shame. Oh, hand gestures coming out there. Now, who's that? That looks like Philip Svensson, who's not too happy to Andrea Barberia out there from Italy. And, well, I saw the hand gestures thinking, come on, what are you doing? Let's go. Let's carry on. Don't defend or anything like that. I know it's nearing the end of the race, but you want to still gain on these positions, because it's rightly so, because, of course, he's seeing this battle unfold here with the likes of this one. But Lewis Bird, Mark LaPiccolo, Johan Aluja, they're still in a close little fight here. Bird's held on to position. Mark LaPiccolo's gains that he's had earlier on, he's not managed to get that overtake done just yet. You can see him there just working his way through the infield section here. Big block of oversteer there for Lewis Bird as back down the inside. Well, yeah, Barberia and Svensson still going wheel to wheel here. And yeah, you can imagine, you know, stop this. You can see them fighting up ahead. Let's focus, and we might be able to gain a few positions more. And Svensson's back down the inside. So they're tripping over each other a little bit, but I'm sure they'll find the gap and get going as he lowers the radiator cover there. That will warm the engine back up again, give him a little bit more waft.
Yeah, especially since the rain has stopped by the look of it, and the racing line is starting again to slightly dry out. Hopefully we'll get to see that coming and see that happening as well in the afternoon, but fingers crossed, as the 9-second advantage that Andrea Taylor has been building over the past few laps is really impressive. As you can see with the rain radar, we are out of the woods for now, hopefully with that rain cloud going away from us, which is good news, and we don't seem to have any trouble coming our way for the next few hours. Let's cross those fingers. But Andy Rattel definitely appreciating those conditions in front of Max Radek, who gets himself into a little bit of a lonely position. He's able to hold on to that second spot, leaving Lewis Bird and Marco LaPiccolo fighting with each other, but trying as well to push each other forward and try to, you know, at some point get that second position. But
here we go.
Lap number 10 and run the inside. There goes LaPiccolo on Lewis Bird. Still, the British drivers switch those positions, switch those races in line, and yeah, he's able to shut that door into turn number 3 and 4, that double right-hander. That was the first attempt for Marco Piccolo, who's had enough, seeing that the gap is not decreasing on Max Radek for second place, so it's about time to do something about it.
Yeah, exactly that. But of course, we keep looking at Lewis Bird's front nose cone. That has definitely dropped. I can see it flapping away under braking. So Marco Piccolo doesn't really need to go for this overtake and risk this one, but he doesn't know that it's dropped. He won't be able to see that from his position. He can only see the back of Bird's kart. So if he can get ahead, all he's thinking of just trying to get past. And he's in a prime opportunity now in the place they're in to get that job done. Now, Max Radek is able to just break away a little bit with this battle unfolding, so he's looking for his best result of the weekend so far. There, Andy Rattel, we've not said too much about him. Look at the lead he's got, 10.4 seconds from the rest of the field. He absolutely has checked out here, and we've had this multiple times from multiple different drivers able to just open up these sorts of gaps. And you know what, when they all come together in the same race, I cannot wait for that to see who is going to be the best of the best, and you will see that tomorrow in that final, of course, maybe even earlier on in the maybe super heats, or maybe even some of the qualifying heats later on today. But Andy Rattel there, a calm and controlled race. He's looking for a good run there from the second row of the grid from P3, and just getting it to the front. The starts have been vital with the inside line. He was able to get past Max Radek really early on, and just from the word go, able to drive away as the conditions, like you say, start to improve once more here in Cremona. Checker flag is out. Andy Rattel sees that checker flag first and claims that win ahead of Max Radek, who you're going to have to wait, and in staggering 11.6 seconds. Wait for it, wait for it. Now he's across the start-finish line. That is how long that lead was. That is an outstanding performance. Lewis Bird does hold on to third. I suspect he won't on paper. After this race, Marco Piccolo and Johanna Luja. Svensson finishing in P6 from Barberi in 7th place. Lawrence in 8th. De Vos in 9th. Cavillo rounds out the top 10.
In P11, we do have Kian Girardi from Luca Montebello, as you can see the classification in full, followed by Bertram Sach. 18 places gain for the Falcon and Zakar driver. Not as much as the 26 of before, but still a very, very impressive work by Bertram Sach up to P13 from Maxime Prudhomme, Morgan Klitzen, Maxime Blanchemin, Marcel Matijevich, Ruben Moya down to P18 from Luc Nielsen, Marc Lunada, Oscar Repetto, Alexis Kenode, Nicolas Sinic, Michael Gorecki, Max Starikov, Mohamed Neme, Eugénie Yaskov, Warapong, Wewikan, Nawin Napiton, as well as Sofia Duvivier Dissage, finishing last after a trouble, and Riccardo Ferrari, we've seen from the corner of a picture that something went wrong for him. He decided to come back to the pit after going off, and that's something that might be worth digging for information about what happened to the Italian.
Well, let's have a look at the start of that race. Rattel, you can see sweeping right to the outside, going the long way round. That is how you do it. Getting the lead straight away. No drama there whatsoever. Max Radek, of course, choosing to hold on to that inside line. But being able to carry that speed all the way around the outside is what you needed. Riccardo Ferrari just off our radar, and yeah, just out of the race. At some point, he did drop back into the field a little bit in that earlier stage, but I thought all was well. Nice little change there in the early stages as well. The likes of Lewis Bird battling away at the early stages of this one. This was the likes of Marco Piccolo gaining those positions later on. This was the spin, unfortunately, for Sofia Duvivier Dissage out of the race. There was the Riccardo Ferrari moment just off the middle of your screen there. And, well, I'm not sure what happened. Did he just run it off the track there? It just looked like, yeah, decided I don't want to go anymore.
Yeah, very strange outside of turn number 12 there. Something that we'll try to check in the meantime during lunchtime before we get back to racing, as clipping the curb a little bit and trying to make his way past up the towards the finish line. Marco Piccolo up to P4, 6 places gained for the 2:38 to 18, shall I say, as battles kept happening all left and center in this race, as at some point Piccolo was being stuck a little bit behind Lewis Bird, whose nose cone seemed to be in a bit of an uncomfortable position. It remains to be confirmed, but Piccolo had been running for quite a few laps with Lewis Bird before deciding to take matters in his own hand, but Lewis Bird in the meantime would find a little bit of strength left to take that position back, far behind Andy Rattel and Max Radek taking P1 and P2. That's the second victory for Andy Rattel, as much as Cremona and Danny Caronini, your current leader in the senior class.
Exactly that. Well, it is now time for the lunch break. You can see we'll be back in around 35 minutes time for the second round of qualifying heats for the juniors and minis. They'll be kickstarting us after that lunch break, so do not go anywhere. If you're watching on YouTube, your broadcast now ends. There'll be another broadcast after the lunch break. Please make sure you check on that one. If you're watching on Facebook on motorsport.tv, your broadcast is uninterrupted, so you don't need to worry. We'll see you in 35 minutes time.